Thank you.
Or live.
I call tonight the Columbia Borough Workshop Meeting to order for March 3rd, 2026. Can I have a roll call, please?
Council President Kaufman,
Here.
Councilperson Byers,
Here.
Councilperson Cooper, Councilperson Zink,
Here.
Councilperson Beebe,
Here.
Councilperson Murphy,
Here.
Councilperson Ziegler,
Here.
Mayor Litz.
Here.
Thank you.
Is there anybody in attendance who'd like to give invocation? We can rise for a moment of silence, please. And Heather would like to lead us in the pledge of allegiance.
Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I didn't have time to finish my Hail Mary, but I do during the meeting.
Sorry.
That's how I know it's. How it's up.
Additions, deletions, and reorganization of the agenda. Consider approval of the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion by Councilman Deasy, second by Councilman Murphy. Any changes? All in favor, say aye.
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 Citizen comments. Sharon.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I just wanted to ask, since you had mentioned, I asked you about the RAND vote that was going to take place tonight, and you were kind enough to answer that. I appreciate it.
Sure.
Will there be any discussion this evening or any time in the future on other options, such as a line of credit or
We will have a slight discussion when we get to the finance committee.
tonight?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Thank you. I didn't see it there. And then regarding the wastewater treatment sale, I was just a little in the dark about parts of it because I didn't understand it completely. Upon closing with the CEDC, will the borough receive that money, the 500 and some thousand at closing?
It's actually a paper.
So we're not
contract thing.
really getting the money that day of
No.
closing?
We will get it at closing.
At
get it
closing,
closing.
yes.
Yeah, we'll get it.
At closing.
At closing with the Columbia Economic Development?
Yes.
They're
When-
giving, okay,
When they sell the property.
No, we will get the money at closing with the CEDC.
see, that's where I was,
It takes place at the same time,
Simultaneous.
but
But
we
that's
will,
what I was explaining.
yeah.
They have to sell it first. And once they sell it at closing of that sale, we will receive a check from the CEDC.
but not the day you transfer the property to them.
We don't have technically
It
transfer.
it should all be in the same day.
Okay.
And if it's not, we will get the money at the time of closing. Like, that's how the title company, the settlement company, that's how it works.
Okay. Clear as mud again. But anyway,
Okay.
I just
so-
don't
So
understand.
Sharon,
Yeah.
just try to make it so you can understand it. We voted for the contract with the EDC, the
Right.
CEDC, okay? If and when they sell that property, at the closing, the first transaction will be us selling the property to the EDC, and they will
Okay.
pay us at that point. And then they'll turn around seconds later and sell it to who bought it,
Okay, yeah, I understand that.
okay?
I'm just saying, when you do whatever you do to the CEDC to take over that, we don't get the money then.
No,
Okay,
Yeah.
that's what
once it's sold,
okay, that's what I'm trying to
yes.
figure out. And then what fund, will that go in capital fund or how will that work? It would have to, right?
No,
Okay,
it will probably go in general for now.
okay. Even though you're selling a capital asset.
Correct.
Okay, again, clear as mud, but, okay.
Okay.
Thank you for
So
trying.
let
to
me explain
explain.
this. We met, our finance committee met with the
DECD. DECD.
DECD,
Okay.
DCED, thank you. It's my fault.
Love all these
You
acronyms.
people-
And that's the problem with the state. And
Okay,
this was back in January. We talked about possibly doing the Act 47. We talked about all our options. And they felt we were in a pretty good position once we received our grant money. Okay? And we learned a lot. We learned that for some of the grants, we can actually submit the invoice instead of paying that invoice and submitting a draw,
okay.
which we found out in the BIOS that worked fairly fast. So
Okay.
it does work, but it's only certain grants you can do that. Then the other thing we found out was that money to and from the capital fund is controlled by council. So if council wants to do a project, they transfer that money to the capital for that project.
Mhm.
If they choose not to do that project down the road, they have to vote to bring the money back out of capital and put it back in.
Okay.
But council controls the money going in and out of capital.
Okay,
But once we designate it for something, it has to stay there till we change our plans and go a different direction.
okay, thank you.
So yes,
Okay, lastly, last week, and I know you can't talk about this, I'm not trying to get information out of you, but something different. The confidential separation agreement, did that leave a vacancy somewhere? I would imagine it said it was with a borough employee. Will that position be advertised? I mean, if somebody separated from our employment, doesn't that leave an empty spot?
and that position was filled.
It already was filled. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Sharon. The next person up's Mary Wickenheiser.
Good evening.
Good evening.
4 subjects, trash, cats, dogs. Okay, walking this town, it's disgusting right now. It is totally disgusting. We had a 4th Saturday in town on Saturday. I was ashamed for somebody from outside this bird. 400 block of Locust Street. It's terrible. And I keep thinking of the money that's going into those lower blocks of Walnut Street. That's just as bad down there. Those are my comments on trash. Dogs. Anybody who's walked this town during the snowstorm, after the snowstorm, you wanted to avoid the area of the Mifflin House on Walnut Street. Landmines down there. Sharon and I had a discussion about the landmines down there. There are people someone in that area, a very large dog. There's another pile down there now in the middle of the sidewalk. It's, again, that's an area you're trying to bring people through. And this is what I, as a resident, am seeing every day down there. It's disgusting. Someone correct me, but I had thought, I'm walking my dog. If an officer happens to see me walking my dog and wants to stop and converse with me, I have to be able to show him I have a way to clean up the feces, the shit that my dog would leave. Am I
Your license.
correct on that?
Yes,
Yes, and your license.
and a leash.
Yes.
I'll tell you, Mary, just as a quick comment, it just seems to me, really, I mean, it's always been a problem, but it just seemed to me like a lot of people
Horrible.
use that big snowstorm and all the after effects of it as an excuse to just say, oh, the hell with it, and just didn't even bother.
I climbed
That's a
over
shame.
snow piles to clean it up.
Right.
You know,
It
you
just seemed
guys
like it was
know
a
I
big
walk a
excuse.
dog every day.
It just seemed like it really exacerbated, like everybody just said, you know, with snow, what am I gonna do? Yeah.
Moving on to cats. When I was here several months ago, I think back in the fall, one of the questions raised whether the properties on either side of me were registered, if they were okay to feed cats. I never heard anything. And I will tell you, it's getting horrible again, what's being done to my property. I've got mud and scratch marks on my porch railings because of them climbing over, going back and forth across my property. My boat covers are covered with muddy cat prints. My trash can that's sitting up on my porch on a rug is all dribbled with cat piss. Now, why am I having to live with this? I have to clean up after my dog, but people can feed cats all they want with no responsibility. We never had this problem when people were not allowed to put food out for cats. It's been exacerbated by that. Okay, I've had my say. Now I would like to end with, if anybody gets down towards the Columbia River Park, as you go into the river park right now, you'll notice there are 3 beautiful witch hazel bushes blooming. They're yellow. Here comes spring. They were in Arbor Day planting dedicated to Fred Allenshine. If you get down there, they make you smile. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary. Frank?
Good evening, you all.
Good evening.
One thing I forgot last week, I was going to comment on the streaming, and I didn't know until I got home. I had a couple of calls that the streaming was never on.
Right.
It almost seems like it's controlled somehow by somebody. Whenever they decide they want it to work or they don't want it to work, I don't know, but is it on tonight?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, that'll take care of tonight then. Pros and cons on closing the window in the lobby on Fridays. I don't recall us having a conversation on that, but we probably did, but you end up doing it. So what's our goals on that?
Jack, do you want to speak on that or you want me to?
Sure. Okay.
Good. I initiated this idea. Right now, when one of our admins has to come in and work, or our managers come in for a meeting at nighttime, they get comp time. So by closing Friday window, that allows our admins or our managers to make up that comp time and get out early so that we don't have to pay them for additional time here. The second reason, well, that is the main reason, but we no longer accept taxes here anymore. So all the billing can be done, or all the payment transaction stuff can be done in the 4.5 days up to that point. And we always have the envelope window outside that you can stick payments in as well.
What was that last thing you said?
The Dropbox.
We always have a
Dropbox.
Dropbox out there. That's
Okay.
always there.
So nobody loses any time out of this.
Nobody loses time, but the borough doesn't have to pay extra time.
Okay, I had to think about that a little bit.
Excuse me?
I say I had to think about that a little bit. I was curious what you were looking to achieve. And us not knowing the workings of the borough, I didn't know some of the things that you had just said. So, okay,
Comp time is a real problem in this borough.
okay.
And we're trying to fix it now, but there's a lot of employees that we had to compensate for. We don't want that to happen anymore.
Yeah, I was just curious. So being that's closed, that doesn't give the public access to that half a day. And I was just curious of what you were looking to achieve.
Right.
Okay. All right. Any news on a finance manager?
I know Jack had 2 interviews, I believe,
One.
One.
So far. Yes,
and then 1 in interest.
one interest, yeah.
That's all we have so far.
Yeah. No disrespect, but I sit here through the last couple finance managers that you hired. The lady from Ephrata, I think her education was that she her last place she worked, I think, was for a car lot, which to me was no reason to hire her for a manager for a municipality. The last one that you had hired from Moundville, I sit here in the audience and I watched the whole council, mayor, everybody just praise this guy up and down like he's the best thing since I don't know what. So he puts a week or 2 in, he quits. What's that tell you? The more people that has this position and quits, it makes other people less want to come to the Columbia Borough. So you need to do your homework.
Right.
Okay. Any prospects for McGinnis, being we put the offer for bids?
Just you, Frank.
Nothing,
It's not out for bid yet.
It's not out for bid yet.
but it's out to the public.
It's, public's aware that it's going to be up for bid, but the bid process hasn't started yet.
Yeah, will be accepted starting on March 30th,
Okay,
going through May. We're advertising it early to give developers a bit more time with the information.
very good, very good. I got that wrong there.
But yes, there is interest. We've
That's what
we've
I
had
was
multiple
really,
calls and
that's what I was really asking.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Sharon brought up the thing about the property down there for sale at the sewer plant. My understanding, and correct me if I'm wrong, the sewer plant and the highway sheds is one deed with 2 parcels. No, what
They're
is it?
separated. They're separated,
There's 2 separate deeds.
yes.
Okay, so now, once the sewer plant's sold, what's the plans for the highway, the present highway building? Is that going up for sale? Or do you have something else in mind?
The
for-
original buyer wants both properties. He wants them immediately, though. He doesn't want just one. As of right now, council has decided we're not in a position to build Ridge Avenue. So we were trying to keep the highway department down there for right now.
So where do we stand with the highway property? Is there a bid on that it's already promised to the owners of the sewer plant?
I don't know if there's a contract for them to buy it. The original negotiations, word of mouth, was they wanted to buy both. And they took the sewer plant to start because they knew we needed the work shed right now. But then our goal was to buy Ridge Avenue, turn that into public works, and then sell the other half to them. But as of right now, we're not in a position to do Ridge Avenue, so we have to hold on to public works down there.
I wish, well, what I wish doesn't matter. But I just had trouble. I just want to understand that this is 2 separate parcels, so
Yes.
which you just told me it was, and nobody has a bid in on it that it's going to go to a certain property. Most likely, then this would go to CEDC 2, most likely.
If it's the same outfit, then yes.
What do you mean if it's the same outfit?
If JG Environmental is gonna buy the second parcel,
There you go.
then yes, we would use the CEDC to transfer the property.
What, I'm understanding that the owners of the sewer plant don't have an option on that to buy it right now. So why would it go to them?
What do you mean, an option to buy it?
It
Contract.
doesn't say that it's got to go to,
No, it doesn't.
so CEDC, if you sell it to CEDC, they will put it out on the market to anybody.
Generally, if we're gonna sell it to the CEDC, it's because they already have someone ready to buy it. Like, we're not selling it to
Okay.
them and then letting them market it.
Okay, so then you would market it yourself.
It would depend on if JG Environmental purchases the first part, the first half, and then they want the second half. I mean, if they buy the first and that goes through, they do eventually want the second half of it. So there's no need to market it. We already know they're going to buy it.
Well, then there's a price set for it then.
Not yet, because we're not at that point where we can, because we're still in that part.
Yeah, why
That's
set
a
price?
valid point, Frank.
Yeah, it's a valid point, but why set a price now?
Right.
It might be a year and a half till we get to the point where we can sell that. And it, I'm sure the price will go up by then.
Right.
So why set your price now and you're beholden to it?
Well, where I'm going is, I just want to get in my mind that JC Environmental doesn't have the right to buy it. It doesn't have the,
Like a right of first refusal, you mean?
Right.
Yeah.
No, there's nothing like that.
No, there's nothing like that.
okay, so it'd be put out to the public. Okay. Very good, thank you.
Thank you, Frank. Mayor Lutz, Chief Robber.
Couple quick mentions. First off, we saw it again this morning. I've received, through the past month, I guess, I've received a lot of comments from the public on the job that our public works has been doing as far as pre-treating the roads is the big one they talk about.
Right.
But the plowing of the streets also. So I got comments this morning about things, when they saw that 30 was shut down for 2.5 hours and our streets were basically just wet, people were thankful of that. So Jake, you and your guys deserve a bit of thanks for that. One of the best things I think you ever did was come up with that pre-treat. I know it's a cost saver, but it's really been, I'll say, a saver for people driving on our streets, and they appreciate it. So I wanted you to know that. The other thing I have is been getting comments and questions about why we don't make, and I don't know the number because I'm not good at it, the alley alongside of the market house. What is that? K? I? Avenue I, one way westbound. A lot of people at the market house are turning to go down and someone's coming in where there's a traffic jam in the middle of the street. Because one's coming out, one's trying to win, someone's backing up, there's traffic in back of them and all. And folks, and I looked at it too, I've seen it and I've been a victim of it. Where you have to back up and try to get somewhere because someone's coming up the alley or someone's trying to get down the alley. So I think council should take a look at making that one-way westbound. Now, I don't particularly have a problem with half of it and the market down, but if you're going eastbound on Avenue I, you can't make one of the turns because there's no sight distance there. And there's a pole right there. It's very dangerous.
You can't see.
So actually, it's better to run that whole Avenue I in that 300 block, westbound one way. So I wish we'd take a look at that. And last but not least, we have several celebrities in attendance here tonight. I was fortunate to see the Channel 8 News program Sunday morning with John Reitzel and Christine Kaufman and Mark Stewart.
Michelle Kaufman.
They did a wonderful job. In my estimation, that was one great program. It was very good for Columbia and really set up the 300th. So thank you very much for doing that and giving the 300th publicity, but also Columbia Borough publicity. It was really good. And last night, I think it was last night, our other celebrity was named, Megan Salvatore was named the best activity leader in Lancaster County by Discover Lancaster County in the 2026 Host Awards. So Megan, congratulations. I've seen your work. I agree with them. I think they made a very good choice, even though I'm from Columbia and get down there a lot. But I know the work you put in, and I know the work the whole group at Columbia Crossing does. So congratulations and keep up the good work. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Jack.
Nothing.
Okay.
Christine.
No. Committee and leadership reports. Parks and Rec. Michelle.
Maybe John.
Hello.
Christine, that's your name, right?
Yeah, Chris.
So,
Yeah, my husband thinks that I'm something new now. So I'm here to give the Parks and Rec report. As of today, we have, we're hosting the July 4th fireworks out at Gladfelders. That's getting finalized. We met with emergency services today for 2 of our events, actually. So that is going well. The planning of that's going well. We also have the Columbia Alba Twitch Harvest Festival on September 26th that we'll be hosting at the River Park. The neat thing about that day on September 26th, there are 2 other events happening simultaneously. So we have Create Columbia at the Locust Street Park from 10 to 3, I believe. Our event will run at the other end of Locust Street from 11 to 5. And then Mac's 4th Saturday will have a fall crawl from 2 to 5. So we are trying to work collectively together for a whole town event, share the trolley, share expenses, make sure we're on each other's, have one map for everyone to stop at different places. And we're going to 3 organizations working together. I'd like to say a little bit more about our 4th of July event because I'm looking at Jack. And usually I'm staring
Mr.
at him for
Brahma.
some reason, but National Night Out's not happening this year in August. They have decided to combine with the Parks and Rec's 4th of July event. It's also our 300th end of ceremony event and 250 years of America event. So they're working with us. Pam's doing, like, really helping us out with normal vendors that will be showing up for there. So we're very happy about that and joining with them. Another event we are looking to host and working with the police department is the bike rodeo. We're looking to do that sometime in April. It's to bring awareness to electric bikes that are so new right now and scooters. So we're meeting this week to go over those plans. The other item that we're working with or actually going to have a table with is the Go Green event on April 24th. will be down at Crossings and have a table down there as well. Does anyone have any questions about the Parks and Recs?
Can you comment on Saturday?
Yes, I can, because Rick Fisher could not come tonight and he asked me if I would report. So we had a very successful jail bail for the dungeon restoration Saturday. Some of the participants are President Kaufman, Vice President Zink, Councilman Ziegler, Chief Borough Manager Brummer, just trying to make it like that, Market Manager Bonnie Link, and our infamous Jack Gamby, who was I'll get there, our garbage disposal guy, and he's in a lot of events we do. And also Mayor Lutz. That event was really well received. It did very, very well. We raised a little bit over $4,300, but more money is coming in where people couldn't make the event, but they're dropping money off or contacting us. So we're still collecting. So we're a little over you guys raised over $4,300. So thank you very much for participating. And for those who didn't participate, we got your names for next time. All right. Is there anything else? Anything else I could share?
What was
Thank
the
you.
date again for the 3 events that were all happening? What
Okay.
Saturday was that?
Are you talking for the September 26th event?
Okay. Yes. Thank you.
Yes, you're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you. Parks and Rec, our 300 committee.
Hello.
Lou,
How you guys doing today? Thank you, Leo, for the shout out. I appreciate that. I thought that was a really cool thing, not just for the 300th, but for the town. And I think Columbia really showed pretty well on that. So good for WGL having that for us. The 300th committee has been working very hard to try to finalize our events that we're having. I've been asked to put together kind of a hard copy of the events. I'm working on it. I have it right here. At this point, it's 2 pages of events right now. So it did take a while to get everything finalized, but we are at the point now where I think we're ready to maybe start publicizing some of the stuff we have going on here. What I guess I'm hoping to do is kind of make a document like this and give it to some of the local businesses, maybe down here at the police station, or whoever would want it. They could print out copies and distribute them however they want to. But we're going to put the stuff on Facebook and online, but I know there's other people that would probably rather have a hard copy format of it. So we're working on it. Kind of broken into two parts. First part being a really unique speaker series events, we're calling it. First one was February 19th at the National Watch and Clock Museum. A woman named Elizabeth Dillon from the Wrights Mansion did a fabulous presentation about Columbia's first settlers, and it was I know some of you were there. You're shaking your head if you were there. It was first of all, it was standing room only. It was standing room only. Everybody that left there complimented her, was very impressed with what we did. We have 12 more events like that coming up this year, and that's what we have going on here. They're not basically the same day of the week every month, but basically monthly we have another event going on at various locations and various times throughout the community. Did get some feedback that people would want them taped and made available that way. You guys may know a gentleman named Phil Kresge. He volunteered to tape them all and make links for us and make them available on YouTube. Of course, we have to get permission of the speakers before we can do that. So we're going to talk to the speakers if they're willing to do that. Phil Kresge has volunteered for no cost to come in and set up the equipment, get it done, mix it all together, put a YouTube link out there, and we can get that to other people that may want to see it. Because I did get a lot of feedback from people that can't make it would like to see it. So see Phil, if you know Phil, maybe thank him for that. It's quite an offer he made for us. He's also going to provide audio systems for all the events too for free for places. Watch and Clock had a great one down there, but other places that we're having don't necessarily have a good sound system. So anyway, I'm not going to go over all the events, but they are There's some pretty good ones. The dungeon, one about the Market House Dungeon sounds pretty good. Something about the Lincoln Highway going through Columbia. Of course, the burning of the bridge is going to be highlighted. Lloyd Mifflin, you name it. There's a lot of cool stuff. I think people are going to be really interested. So that's one side of this paper. The other side is what I'm calling community events. And I'm not going to go over all of them, but I'm just going to highlight. If you guys have any questions, certainly feel free to ask. But June 6th is going to be the Fireman's Parade, and I know there's a lot of stuff going on with that right now. I think that's going to happen, and it's going to be pretty successful. I'm pretty confident on that. They're going to end up with a post-parade event, if you will, out at Gladfelders for the family, or like a family community type event. So I think that'll be a really good day for people too. But the fire department's kind of working on that. We're just kind of coordinating it with them. Collaborating, I think, is a better word. June 19th is going to be a nice event. The Lions Club does their Music in the Park series. You guys may be familiar with the Music in the Park. The band for June 19th is Central City Orchestra, which is, you've ever seen them? They're good. We're going to have our opening ceremonies for the 300th anniversary. We're going to we're going to start out with the Cub Scouts, the local Cub Scouts presenting the flag. We're going to have the band sing the national anthem for us. Going to give some opening remarks. We got Senator James Malone is going to come in to talk about, and he's going to talk about Columbia, but Juneteenth, recognition of Juneteenth is going to be presented there. Representative Brett Miller is going to come. He's going to make a citation, present it to Leo Lutz here. I'm going to keep Leo down to 5 minutes of talking. I can do that. I should get a citation myself, I would think. And we're going to end things with the president of the Borough Council, Eric Kaufman. I'm just going to give you guys this so you have that. All right. One for you, one for you, so you had that.
Thank you.
All right. But that should be a good event. And then they're going to, from that, they're going to go into the Music in the Park. So I would imagine we're going to get a huge crowd for that. So, all righty. Thunder on the River, the car show. Nothing needs to be said about that because you know what that's going to be like downtown. That's going to be, and that's the following day after the opening ceremonies. Mount Bethel has something that day also, the last ride they call it. June 24th, we're going to have a children's festival here in Sadie Lane, targeted for the kids. Bonnie Link has a lot of really nice stuff going for the kids. I think that'd be a great event to get the children of Columbia involved in the 300th celebration. And I have Megan up here on the 26th to the 28th is Riverfest. So we're kind of going to jump in on your bandwagon there and help out a little bit and work together with them. So if you have any questions on the Riverfest, Megan's up here to talk about that. But specifically how the 300th anniversary is involved in that, the Wrights Mansion Foundation donated, I think, $10,000 to light all the old bridge piers. Promises to be pretty spectacular. But in addition to that, Susquehanna National Heritage is going to have a view party, I guess. Watch party, I think is the best way to call it. But
We call it a watch party.
yeah, yeah, watch party in the park.
It's listed as light up the night viewing party.
Yeah, so there we go. So we have a speaker. One of the speaker series is going to be at like 5 o'clock inside. We've arranged with the Maxwell Project. If you guys are familiar with the Maxwell Project, they're going to provide music outside prior to the lighting of the bridge. Megan has a bunch of events, I should call, for family type events to do out in the park out there, and then the lighting of the bridge piers. I know you're working on all the permitting to get all that done. So
now that we've got all of the events sort of outlined, that'll be landing in your guys' database.
Yeah, so we just got this stuff finalized last night and today. So next step is Megan's going to start getting the permitting and stuff for that. But I would anticipate the combination of Maxwell and lighting those bridges on fire. We might have a traffic problem down there. So I'll say that. So I think it could be a pretty big event. Yes, and so then the last thing I think I want to talk about is, and Michelle already talked about it, or Christine, or whatever her name is over there, talked about the fireworks on the July 4th. We're going to have fireworks out at Gladfelders Field. We have a local band, popular band, Pop Scotch, is going to be playing music prior to the fireworks, and they're working on a bunch of family-oriented community events to have out there prior to that too. So that's what I got. Any questions?
So just a comment. First couple 300 committee meetings I went to, I really had my doubts. It wasn't a lot.
So
of
did I.
people there, you know? I mean, I'm sure we all did. I'm sure we all did. There weren't a lot of people there, and I remember doing the old home week a while back, 25 years ago, I think it was. And how much work went into that. And that was only basically a week worth of events. And what I'm hearing here tonight, I'd say you guys pulled off what I consider the nearly possible. I congratulate all of you at the time and everything that you put in on this. And I can't wait for it to start unfolding. I think it's going to be a great year.
You know, I'm feeling a lot of excitement throughout the town about this, you know, and you feel a lot, but I do want to recognize one person, and it's Mark Stewart. You know, we were, this speaker series, he put together that speaker series and worked with all the people and done a lot of promotion for us, and I think that's really got the word out to people, and I think that's getting a lot of excitement. But the town's really stepped up and contributed they donated a lot of money. They're very enthusiastic. The calendar sales, we sold almost 600 calendars we sold. The merchandise we sold is very popular, so the town is really, really excited about this. So I think as we get closer, we're going to get more and more excitement about this.
I mean, when you look at the list that you had there, it tells me that there's almost not a week in the rest of the year that something isn't going to happen. That's amazing. That is absolutely amazing.
If I may, I'd have to say that this lineup and all of the reservations we had initially is a wonderful showcase of collaboration of Columbia organizations and businesses, and just a great community has come together to pull this off.
It's mind-blowing.
Hey, we've been here 300 years. We got something to be proud of here, right? We ought to be proud of it, right? So, I mean, I think I'm proud to be part of it. I have to say that. I'm proud to be part of it. So, right? Any questions? If you do have anything, please come to me. And when we finalize this, you know, we'll distribute it to people. And if you hear of anyone that would want a hard copy, I mean, I don't want to spend a lot of money on it, but I think something like this, at least to have a hard copy of it, is probably, you know, what we're going to look at doing. So, okay. All right. Thanks, you guys. I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
We can make some of it down to the crossroads and in the lobby.
Finance. The finance committee didn't meet till yesterday, so I'll just review quickly what we went over. Let's see. We met with Truist Bank on the RAN loan or the possible open line of credit. Initially, Truist Bank didn't want to do the line of credit. They just wanted to do the RAN loan. The terms weren't favorable for us, we felt. So we decided to shop around. And today Jack met with Fulton and bank, and there will probably be another bank we meet with in the near future. So at this time, we're not really pushing for anything. As a sense of urgency, the general fund is at approximately 2.5 million now. We have received a majority of the buyer's grant.
Loan and grant.
Well, loan and grant, yes, I'm sorry. And we started putting a finance policy together. So we're going to create a bird's eye view of finance policy and then go from there. So that's really all I had to report on finances. Heather, do you have anything else?
Mm-mm.
Sure, Sharon.
I think this would fall under finance. I just wanted to ask another question. After Frank talked about the wastewater treatment, it made me think, how confident are you then that JG would buy that if they can't get the other part of the property?
We're not sure.
We're not confident.
Okay. And they could continue the lease as long as that, or, because that transfers right to the CEDC would have to honor that lease that they're in with us.
Right.
And
But
that
the
was a
C-
long lease,
The
right?
CEDC isn't going to purchase the property if they can't,
You can't do it.
JG isn't gonna buy it.
Okay, so it would not be open to anyone. It would only be open to them, you mean, to buy? Because of the lease?
No, it's not
Oh.
because of the lease.
Okay.
Because the whole point of using the CEDC is that they are able to act as a go-between for kind of like specialized properties, like we had the Turkey Hill experience. We used the EDC for that because it wasn't your everyday run-of-the-mill property. The same with the wastewater treatment plant. I mean, there's very few people that would be interested
Right.
in that. So that is the whole point of that, is that the CEDC is working to find a buyer for it. So yes, I mean, it would be open to anyone, but there was already interest from JG, which is why they signed the lease with it and
Right.
started to lease the property
Right.
so that they could purchase it. So if they don't purchase it, they could still have the lease. I mean, and if we found another buyer, they would have to honor that lease.
Okay. So the borough can't really break the lease. Would you get penalized if you did that to break the
Well,
lease to
yeah,
sell
I
it
mean,
to?
we can't break the
Okay.
lease.
You would just transfer to the new owner.
Yeah.
If they wanted to deal with
If they
that,
wanted to,
if they
Yeah.
were willing to deal with that.
Yeah.
Okay,
I mean, they would have to the purchase would be with that lease
okay.
intact.
I think if they choose not to buy the property, and we put it up for sale, they would probably break the lease and leave anyway.
Okay,
Well, and really, at this point, if they choose not to purchase it, we are within our rights to make it a market rate lease because they've already occupied over 40% of the property. And we had been holding off on doing that, even though the lease is set up that says once they occupy more than 40% of the property, it goes to a market rate lease.
okay,
We had held off on that because they were doing the work to get the easement with Norfolk Southern, and we were trying to do things in good faith, so we didn't want to push it. But if we're not going to sell it to them, it'll go to a market rate lease.
See, I was thinking that they took the lease from us based on the fact that they were hoping to buy both properties.
Well, right, they did.
And so that made me wonder then if they waited all this time, because that lease is at least a few years old, I would think. And,
Yes.
are they going to, how many years are they willing to wait for the other part? That's what I just
Well,
was
right,
curious.
we don't know.
Okay, thank you.
Go ahead, Frank.
Along with that, and what I'm hearing, we're no further ahead than what we was a year or two ago. We have no date that this is going to be settled, when this might be settled.
So our contract with the EDC is 60 days,
We still don't have it.
Actually, it was March 30th.
or March, well, okay. I think when we,
Actually, Frank, we were much further ahead because the easement issue has
Yeah.
been resolved.
Easement.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
one point. Yeah,
That's-
but
we're
as far
able
as,
to-
as
right,
far as
that's
settling,
the key.
that would have made it closer too,
Yes.
but we
That's
just
an old
keeps
area.
dragging on and dragging on. And I remember the solicitor saying, by the end of this year, I mean, this happened twice or three times, that they're going to be sold. And I get tired of hearing it, and I just didn't, whenever he brought it up, I just didn't listen to it. The other thing I wanted to, in the finance thing, I went to the Fulton Bank. I got my bills, all my real estate bills for Columbia one day. The next day, I went down to Fulton Bank to the lady that usually takes all the taxes and everything. And she said, well, you just got these. I said, well, if you go to our council meetings and you find out how bad we need money, I said, I want to get mine in there, number one, so I don't forget. And number two, that they have the money that that they have to spend this. I tried to find out from her what they charge to process a check, and she didn't have that information. So I didn't gain out in that way.
All right, thank you, Frank. Anybody else have anything on finance? Community development.
Nothing currently to report. I know we have a meeting with shelter situation coming up in the next week or so that Gene and I are planning to attend. So we may have some information after that.
All right, thank you. Public Works.
Jake, did you want to touch on this? Anything here, or just, I can run through it, don't matter to me. Yeah, it's in the report, you can see basically what it is. We have the proposed paving projects listed. Maple Park, as it says, is that close to being finished out and closed out. I don't know if you wanted to give an update, if you could give an update on the condition of the two trucks that needed maintenance, the transmission and the electrical issue.
Yeah, the electrical issue, that's taken care of. I've been working on the truck,
The training.
that's still in the shop. yes.
And the electrical issue, I know you give me a rough estimate about how much it was gonna be.
Yeah, it ended up, I believe it was $40. Majority of that's labor.
Yeah.
Trying
Yeah.
to get through
Yeah, it's,
electrical.
I don't know if you ever had an electrical problem with your vehicle. I'd rather have a flat tire because you know what the problem is.
Yep.
You got an electrical issue, it could be a wire,
Yeah,
it could be a bad connection, it could be it goes on and on, it could be a computer issue. It just goes,
it ended up being a sensor. and, plug, electrical plug.
I did want to comment, we had a couple meetings ago, we had given approval to Derek to pursue meeting with DCD if he could divert the remaining riverfront funds that were left over to repairing the damaged storm sewer that's down behind, I guess, a lead entry down there on Mill Street. He did get the approval from that. So the next step will be for him to get the package together. Well, it'll be June at least until we get anything with that, but we do need to have that completed by the end of the summer in order to use that money. So hopefully we can get an answer, yes or no. Probably no, but we're hoping to get yes so that we don't have to pay it and get reimbursed. We'll see how that goes.
Have we gotten approval for access to that,
For access to,
the waterway? It's on private property.
you talk about the Mill Street?
Yes.
That's in the works right
It's,
now. As of right now,
yeah, but
I don't
Right.
see that being an
it
issue.
shouldn't be an issue the way it looks and the problems it's going.
'Cause I just don't think we should vote on that until.
No, it'd be June, yeah. At the earliest. But like I said, the project does need to be completed by the end of September in order for us to be able to use those funds for it. That's all I have for highway.
Just street sweeping.
Oh, yes, I forgot to mention it.
Tentative date for that's the 16th.
Monday, March 16th, street sweeping.
March
I made this call was way back,
Yeah.
2 weeks ago. Thinking, well, all these files that I went on the 16th. I think we'll be in good shape.
I'd say a 462 needs it more than it, and that's the state. Thank you, Jake.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Seeing as it's now March, the month after February, have we heard anything from Lancaster City?
I have not heard
They haven't applied for any
nothing.
permits or nothing?
Yep.
So, okay. Well, that's interesting.
Yeah, I feel like it had to be done ASAP.
Yeah, everything had to, had to be done right away, and now we've not heard anything.
You're referring to the water line, right? That was
Yeah,
gonna.
the water line. Yeah, 40 48-inch or 40-inch main.
Did they? Well, that's interesting because they were supposed to be out for bid in December so that it could start in February.
February.
I believe they bid their materials, it was supposed to bid the materials, and they bid the contract actually.
Oh.
It's two different.
Oh, that's right. They did say they were bidding it separate. But yeah,
What are you referring to?
the water main project that Lancaster City's doing up Manor Street. Well, so did I.
According to them, it's actually
According to them, it had to be done because it was going to start in February and
Anything else? Public safety.
Last week, Councilperson Byers and I met with representatives from the Columbia Borough Police or Columbia Fire Department, merely to introduce ourselves and also, of course, express our ongoing cooperation. Their department provided us with their new box change request that the borough has to look at and agree upon so that they could submit it to the Lancaster County Public Safety Office. We sat down with the administration. There were no major significant changes. The first one was they changed their contact list a little bit to make it a little bit more efficient for their manpower. Secondarily, I think there were a couple pieces of apparatus that they had also changed or switched around. Nothing seemed very significant, and it seemed that it made sense, at least to me. Councilperson Byers submitted their information in this packet, and they requested it to be either approved or disapproved as soon as possible so they could either change it or submit it as soon as they can. They also, and I didn't know this, said it's going to be a little bit of a learning curve this year because Mountville folded up. So there's not going to be a Mountville Fire Department anymore. They got folded into West Hempfield. So they're going to have to see how, what that means for their calls in the future. So they're playing that by ear, which I thought was interesting. But most pressing is to see if that we agree with the changes that they made for this year, get that either approved or disapproved, and get that back to them as soon as we can.
Yeah, and you can see a summary of that on page 63 of the packet. An email I sent with like a general overview of what the changes were. And part of the box changes were to cover for just to take some of the ease off of Hempfield and Mountville as they're going through the merger, to sort of, give them a bit of a break and as they figure stuff out. So does anybody currently have any questions regarding it or any concerns regarding the changes that they want to submit to the county?
I have to find my agenda.
Are they looking for a motion or an action from us at next week's meeting or anything? Or?
Yes.
Yeah, so at the next meeting, we'll have like a final version that we can vote on. But yeah, currently it's nothing too major from what Tom and I were told.
I think this, the contact change was just to kind of prioritize who goes to which call. And it, like I said, nothing seemed out of place or extreme.
Yeah, 63 of the PDF. So just to really, I can just quickly go over it. So first change, the specific changes for the how they go through the ranks is it used to list the chief first and then go down through. They want to switch that to the duty officer first. That way, if there are lower budget calls, it doesn't go directly to the chief if they're not on duty at that time. Then the box alarms, again, changing to work with the neighboring departments a little bit better. One of the things that were changing was removing Rescue 80 on the new list. The reason for that was there were a few times that it did not have adequate staffing to get that third apparatus out. So instead, it will still be able to go to fires, but it won't be officially dispatched. It's kind of a bit more of like a semantic thing. That way, it's not that if it can't go out because it's understaffed, it's not then counted as a piece that is going down the list of calls. Instead, that call will go to another department. And another thing is with the departments struggling to get other pieces out because of limited volunteers and staffing, they also wanted to rearrange things to make sure that they're not double pulling from any stations until they hit the third alarm. That way, it doesn't put too much pressure on the other stations to have an extreme amount of staffing. In the meantime, it gets a bit more spread out.
Okay. That makes a lot of sense. My only concern with that is, 7-6, is that not Julie?
I believe so.
No, it's Marietta.
Yeah, Marietta.
7-6 is Marietta. 41 is Rachel. 6-7 is Roarstown. 7-9 is. Not sure.
That might be.
I think that's a new one, it looks like.
Is it?
West Hempfield
So,
and-
Silver Spring, West Hempfield? Okay,
The two combined into 79,
okay.
Silver Spring and Ironville.
So we've already worked with everybody already, it's just a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they're going to be switching things up.
And they mentioned in here that they're going to try it for a little while just to see how it goes, and they're fine with making adjustments in a few months as they, get some results in.
I'm glad like you said, they're not gonna have a second call on the same station.
Mhm.
And I'm assuming that's across the board, because,
Yeah.
I mean, I know we historically have had, the numbers show out, we have great response to all of our calls. And I just don't want that to be like a fail state for everybody to fall back on, like, oh, Columbia will be there. Then we end up putting a stressor on our system, our guys, and next thing you know, we've got problems we've got to deal with there because of the system just assuming that we'll be there.
Yeah, and I think that was one of the main reasons that they decided to move Rescue 80 off of the list, is that way that extra pressure to always have like a higher staffing just because we have a very active volunteer fire department is not necessarily felt. It's still going to go out and do what it can, but if it's, has poor staffing, it's not necessarily going to be a detriment to the order of calls. Well, yeah, if there's not any other questions, then we can put this summary together with the document they sent over and get it approved on the agenda for voting at the next meeting. That way they can send it to the county.
All right.
No other concerns you want us to go back with? It looks adequate.
Yeah, I'm good with that.
I thought we had mentioned it. I guess we should, I'm not sure if we did touch on it before last meeting, but Public Safety also had a meeting with Lifeline. I don't remember if we discussed it, but they kind of pitched the renewal of their contract and did address some of the concerns that we did have. They had some different management. We're switching things up to make it a little bit more accessible to jurisdictions and things like that. So I guess that's a conversation that we're going to have and eventually vote. So I don't know if it's our intention to look at any other providers to date, or if we're going to vote on Lifeline at some point in time.
Jack, have you received the contract from them?
I think so. You sent it to.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Because that, does that expire in the summer or at the end of this, in the summertime? So it's something we're going to have to address fairly soon.
They actually want us to do it sooner than the summer. They want to try and get all their people on the same time frame. So if we have a contract, we should probably do that as soon as we can.
And maybe get that on the agenda for a vote next meeting.
Maybe not next, but like end of March, beginning of April.
Yeah,
Here's the problem. I like what they said. I can't tell you exactly what they said to be able to tell the public. For example, we are going to charge per capita at some point.
10-year contract.
So you know
5
that.
years. The first 5 years, no fee. Years 6 through 10 is a per capita fee of like $50.
$5.
Or $5, I'm sorry.
Be a very different conversation at 15.
So it would amount to approximately 50,000 per year.
Okay. So that is the contract, basically. They would hold, in their contract, it's basically what it is now, where they have a state substation out here, what's Alpha 7th. And, excuse me.
Yes, maintainer.
And what's in our current contract is the same as what going forward. Some of their contracts they have out in other municipalities, they're charging already. Some of the original people like us, they give us a 5-year break before they kick in the $5 per capita.
And the per capita fee is less. They indicated.
Yes.
Yep.
So, and we also when we talked to them, we told them, even though we signed a 10-year contract, we can only really be responsible for 2. And every 2 years have to be.
Yeah, and there's a clause in the contract that allows us to exit just with it was like a 90-day, maybe it was more than that, 180-day, something like that.
It was short.
But there's a provision where we can exit the contract if we decide to switch to a different EMS service. So we're not necessarily locked in for those 10 years.
Right.
Actually, I think an EMS contract we could sign for, it doesn't have to be every 2 years.
All right.
Yeah, because that falls in that
Window.
that thing of not doing like that you can.
Yeah, the things you can do.
Yeah, the things you can do for extended period of time. There's like, I forget what the qualification is, but I think that's one of them.
But for the next workshop, what we can do is we can bring a more robust summary of what's in the contract to discuss. And if you want, we can also put out some feelers to other services just to see if, if what they would be offering would be similar. That's what we've heard so far, is that it would be pretty similar to what Lifeline is, not suggesting, offering us. But we can still reach out before the next workshop.
So I think Jack and I need to reach out to them. I think my understanding was they want to have it done in February. Do you remember that?
I know that they wanted us to do it, in a timely manner.
In January.
Right, yeah.
As soon as possible.
Yeah, they actually wanted it done at the end of last year.
I'm not sure why they wanted to, what their hurry to lock us in was, but yeah, they did mention January. Maybe they're,
I think that's when they're doing for
The-
all of their municipalities.
And they want to get everybody on the same cycle.
Yes.
right. And as I understood it, it sounded like the current contract, it would be virtually the same as the current contract, except with that provision of the per capita increase after 5 years.
Yeah, I mean, there's no reason we can't vote on it if we get it out for all of council to see.
And you said you think you have that contract. Would everybody be okay if we put that on the agenda for next Tuesday?
I'd be fine with it.
I just want to be able to see it.
Yeah, well, no, we'll get it out to you as soon as possible.
Right.
All right. I'm just trying to make sure I get the agenda going out for Tuesday. Anything else on, go ahead, Frank.
It don't take much to confuse me. I can understand Heather and Byron so well. They just have that voice. And not trying to say anything against council, but everybody can't be like that, I guess. But anyway, what was the per capita relating to?
$5.
Yeah, for who?
So this is for Lifeline, the EMS service. They're requesting this of all the municipalities, is starting in about 5 years that the ones they have contract with, they wanted to start requesting $5 per capita from the municipal government. For us, that works out to about $52,000 a year.
Okay.
Yeah, and specifically, that's mostly because of rising costs on that on their end, that it's becoming pretty unstable. And it was also pitched to us specifically not as a hard requirement, but as a suggestion. So if there is a case where Columbia is going through a particularly bad financial period 5 years from now, hopefully not, that is not a hard requirement for us to pay them. It's more of a mutual benefit thing.
And that does not absolve anyone from paying an EMS bill. You will still be billed for, if you call the ambulance or transported to the hospital, you will still have to pay, or your insurance or whoever will still be billed for that ambulance service.
Okay. Did you have a meeting prior to this meeting? Your committee?
So we had a meeting about, what was it, 2 or 3 weeks ago?
About 2.
Yeah, with Lifeline to discuss the contract, and just to sit down and talk about what their sort of expectations were. We just haven't had a chance to bring it forward because we weren't totally sure if we were going to lock in on it or not. But we have a copy of it that we've reviewed a little bit.
Okay. The reason I asked, when you said you were going to committee meetings, I had no idea this is what you were going to. When we had committee meetings going back,
Yes.
I think Mary knows exactly what I'm talking about. We had 3 council people, one was the chair, and we had open meetings to the public. So in the case of the public safety, when I come in the door tonight, I thought, well, I'm going to see EMS here, I'm going to see the fire chief, I'm going to see all these people. I was just dumbfounded, as to why. And these were the kind of meetings that I thought we were going to be attending and the way it was going to be. Like I just said, I can hear now this is just me, I can hear better with some people up there, but I would have thought they would come, they would be here, give their reports, you'd have questions, and we could all hear what's going on to the public. Now I'm going to refer to the illegal safety meetings that's been going on, and I will argue with the mayor till the day I die that they were illegal because it wasn't open to the public. Now, are they still going on besides this meeting?
So they have a emergency management meeting. I think what you're referring to is a safety meeting. The emergency management meeting is managers of the safety department getting together. And it's not a public meeting.
We always had all these different, I think 7 of them here, everybody was at the meeting. I remember Frank's, the Splain guy, I remember all these people. We had some very good meetings, and when we left there, we understood what was going on. And this is what I thought was going to turn around when we were going to have these committee meetings. I'm not not saying that you're doing this wrong, but it's just, I wasn't used to this, and this is what I was used to. But I was wondering if we're still having another meeting, because they had their meetings, and then, Butch Coleman sitting next to the mayor there, he always gave a report. And why ain't these public? Why is the public not allowed to come to these meetings?
Well, so I can say one of the reasons with the system that we're going with this year, it's partially a cost saving aspect.
Okay.
If we have so many council people, it has to become an advertised meeting. And we also then have to have staff here in the room. We have to do a bit more to get it be public. And with the short staff that we currently have, with the short staffing and the limited budget that we have, that's why we chose to do instead the two leadership members sort of taking it on, discussing with each other at the very least, rather than it being a single person, and then bringing it all together here at the workshop meetings. If we can get to a point, I would love to have, full committee meetings, but I also don't want to put a strain on the staff further than what they're already dealing with.
It sounds like you're getting to the meat of the issues. But like I said, I was just used to the other way. I have all my old records that I kept from when I was on council, and that, I always liked them meetings, the way that we had them. But anyway, okay, I thank you.
All right, so here we go. This is gonna be a long part.
Maybe not necessarily.
Legislation.
Yeah, start out first off with the first four ordinances that are there: 958 key lock boxes, 959 fire inspector, 960 the volunteer tax rebate, as you know, we will work through that, and 961 the food truck. These were all voted on by council and approved and completed during 2025. They were sent to our solicitor for final review, shall we say, and to have them advertised and get them in the book, shall we say. So that part was not done until just recently by Evan. So that's why those four are on there. His review had basically, I'd say minuscule, one or two word changes here, nothing I would call substantive at all. So those four should be pretty quick reviews. And then we have 965, which is the parking at the River Park, which should make, I know Mary's been bringing it to our attention that what our ordinance says, what the signage says at River Park are two different things. So we wanted to bring those two in agreement with each other. And of course, the monster on the list is the 966, the rental property, which we had gone through, again, at numerous meetings throughout 2025. And the last, shall we say, directive from council was that we wanted to try to have the slumlord definitions and steps combined in the 966 instead, rather than creating a new ordinance. So that's basically what you see in your packet. So I guess, go down through, just give me an order. If anybody has any questions.
Okay, before we get to that, this is for Mary. The parking at the River Park ordinance that you referenced from way back when, it should have been changed. The ordinance had XXX to it, correct?
Copy the original ordinance 719.
Yes.
No,
Isn't that the one that?
719 is the original ordinance,
Right.
Way back.
and then it was adjusted to,
We couldn't find
couldn't find
where
it, that's the
it was
point.
ever changed.
okay,
It wasn't.
okay. So I guess the discussion to change it was done because there was an ordinance basically written out already, right? It was XXX. Correct.
Okay, so where did XXX come from?
I think that was part of your discussion from way back when.
Yeah, we couldn't
No.
find.
No?
No, you're seeing XXX because
There
I
was never a
wrote
number
this
assigned.
ordinance.
Oh,
I
there you
just
go.
wrote the ordinance.
Okay.
last week.
Okay.
And a number
Okay.
wasn't assigned, so I put it in as XXX until a number gets
Okay,
assigned.
gotcha. I understand.
Okay,
Yeah.
I have some discussion on that then, so
Okay.
when you get to it.
Well, we're at it, so go ahead.
Well, do we want to take them in order to see if anyone
Yeah,
has
that's
any
Okay.
questions?
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
That's what I was waiting.
Okay. Well, you started going down the rental properties, that's why I thought,
Oh, I didn't.
no.
So we're starting at 958, the key lock
958.
boxes.
Yes. Yeah. And as it says, the changes really are, anything that's struck through is deleted, and anything that was added, the italicized, so you can really see 7415A. It says, during an emergency, as shall be determined from time to time by the fire chief, that was taken out. I mean, like I said, the changes that were made to these were very minuscule because basically based upon the change that we made as far as having an assigned fire chief in the borough. Shall we say. Excuse me, it's a fire inspector now falls under the codes department with BOA. So rather than what the fire department has, it was when Chief Ryan was there, like that. So that's the nine. That's really the only change. 958 is very minimal. And if you scroll down, it says establishment of office. Since we don't have committees anymore, we took out the committee on public. Anywhere it said committee, we took it out. So it doesn't say the committee on public safety. The new now says borough manager and public safety chair for reporting purposes only. What do you want to call it? Chair. What do you want to call it? What are we calling them now? Leaders. Whatever you want to call it. It really doesn't matter. Any issues with that? That's really the only change with 958 is removing that part with the reference to the committees as well. 959, which is let me grab this over here.
The volunteer service,
The volunteer services.
the tax credit for volunteer fire department personnel.
And that we went through at length with the fire, with the committee that was, we met, I know Heather, myself, and I believe it was Todd Regard, initially met with them. They came up with a proposal for us, like a weighted scale system that they wanted to be able to provide some relief on, some kind of incentive for volunteers. So, and initially it was mostly geared toward just for people that were running the trucks and reporting to the call. But then, as things went along, it became apparent that, the volunteers that are running all the fundraisers and things like that, they're just as needed. Otherwise, if those things fall by the wayside, then they don't have their fundraisers. That's going to put more of a financial burden on the borough because we're going to have to make up that difference. So I think that's what led to that particular, how all those changes came about. But again, we had discussed this at length, correct, in 2025. It's just a matter of Evan doing his final review and saying, yeah, I'm good with it. So, and you can see anything in existing ordinance with proposed changes are highlighted. Anything in blue is all new. So.
This is Evan's final review, or?
Yes.
I have a question.
Yep.
I thought we had a form that they fill out
They do.
and so we need to call that out.
Should be documented.
Right, and it's not.
Because they provide us with that list as well.
Right, yeah, all we have is that photo identification is required.
What particular section? Are you
Page
looking at?
83 of the PDF.
Page 83?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm on it now.
So the blue.
I see it, okay. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can definitely reach out to Kevin and get however we want to reference it.
No, I mean,
We have the form.
we
Okay,
have,
you have the form.
As a matter of fact, it was turned in for this year
Yeah,
already.
so we took
yeah,
that.
so we need to, no, but, so we got the list, But does each individual person, they have to fill out a paper, right?
They
And that
fill-
gets signed by the chief.
Right.
So that is what we need, whatever that form is called, we need to reference that in the ordinance.
I don't think they're providing that to us, so I think that's something they're maintaining. They're just providing us a list of the hours and who should be getting it. They're not providing us with individual forms, right?
They are, yes,
Oh,
but
they
it
were?
doesn't
Okay.
specify, it indicates the two levels,
Two levels.
basic or advanced.
Yeah.
Yes.
But it's not a form, it's not a form per
Are you
se.
sure within the ordinance you want to get that specific regarding the form?
If
Or do you want to
that's,
say
if that's a
administrative?
requirement, if that's a requirement of us processing the rebate, then yes, it needs to be specified in there. Otherwise, we can't require it.
We can use a term, so I understand what you're saying. We can use a term of the form, whatever that form is, individual.
Application.
Application
Yeah, we
form.
can say rebate application signed by whoever is supposed to sign it. Do we need to have the chief sign it? Do we,
Right.
or whatever, but we could say,
Or can we be more generic and say administrative process?
No, I would identify the form.
yes,
We
we
don't have-
have to say what it is or it's not enforceable.
We don't have to have the form on that, because that could change throughout.
Right, but we have to indicate that we require some sort of application.
And the word application then gives us that flexibility, doesn't lock us into.
It also establishes a paper trail.
Correct.
One it is.
Yes. Which needs to be spelled out in the ordinance or it's not enforceable.
These were procedures would be -107, but we don't have procedures, so it's a form.
Okay, so basically what we've added there, Paul, would be the Columbia Borough,
Yeah.
Columbia Borough Volunteer Service Credit Program application.
Application.
That's what the form is officially called. Yes, it now, you see if it's in effect.
Yeah, but yeah, we do need to call that out.
Yep.
And do we require them to have a photo identification to us? Then we should remove that from the ordinance if we're not,
Yeah, I don't think we.
What was the intended purpose of that?
I don't know.
Verification.
I think it's verification that they
Borough resident.
Yeah,
verification for,
Verify.
because this is only for, we do have volunteers that run,
That's
with our fire company that
Verify that they are.
don't live in Columbia, number one, or number two, don't own, they rent in Columbia, so it's if we could do something, but this is a rent, this is a rebate program for their taxes, it's not, if they're a renter, it's not gonna help them out.
But really, if they're getting a tax bill,
Yeah.
it's assumed that they live there.
Right, but shouldn't we have ID to verify their tax bill?
Yeah, I'm a little confused. I think you do need the ID. If not, we can send him the paperwork. Wait a second.
I mean, they could just merely submit a tax bill with the
Some-
application.
Somebody in Penfield could submit that to us, and we get a credit. It would work.
From Alvin,
Yeah.
they verify the address. And the fire company does too.
I mean, there would have to be some proof of residency for someone to.
Yeah, because we require that they give us the parcel number.
Okay,
Yeah, then we should be good with just that application then.
I would say.
okay, that's fair.
I don't think we need a photo ID, do you? Because like I said, that calls up. Did you need this? Did you want to see it?
Not right now.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. No, if there's identifying information on there, I think
I
that we
just
don't
wanted
need
to
that.
mention, the state does have access to CS data to verify
Verify the-
residences as well.
So we should, I think with that information, we should be fine.
Yeah, just a parcel, not photo ID, just parcel.
But I am right in saying that they, when they do the application, they do submit a copy of their tax bill. Which is very, no?
Yeah, 'cause we can verify it.
Okay, take out the photo, or just take the form.
Kelly, are you making note of the changes?
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
So any other questions on the volunteer tax rebate? Murphy. Mrs. Zink. Food truck.
The last one will be 961, the food truck ordinance.
Is this the one that Evan said he
Yes.
wanted? I did not review this because I didn't,
This just came back from Evan.
yeah, it just came back
in time
before the meeting, so I did not review this, so I don't think that I'm prepared to comment on that one.
Well, that's okay.
Did have one question on the distance of operating regulations for the food truck. It's shall not operate within 150 feet of the primary entrance of a brick and mortar restaurant without the restaurant's written consent.
Right.
Is that standard from other municipalities,
Yeah.
food trucks?
Yeah, we really got the guts of this from other.
Okay.
Yeah,
Why didn't invent
we
the
didn't
wheel?
invent the wheel on
No,
this.
we didn't. Yeah,
Okay, yeah, just wondering about some of the numbers, so.
yeah, Evan's the one that got us the information.
Mhm.
So we're okay.
I mean, I'm okay with it because, I had what the previous one was and the ball, and I know you went through it as well. So, I mean, if everybody wants more time to get back to comments, more power to you.
Okay, so
And we do want to, the only thing I want to emphasize is that when we get these ready to advertise, we want to do them all in one lump. We don't want them individual. We want to put one advertisement, save obviously costs. We don't need to do 6 LMP ads and we can do one, so.
You know, okay, then.
Okay. And then last but not least, well, not last, 965, which would be, excuse me, the parking zones at the River Park, Mary. The only verbiage I added there, Mary, was we tried to, we tried to make this as
Okay.
as minimal effective, minimal effective. That's all we had in there. With trailers only starting from Memorial Day through Labor Day of each year.
Well, for one thing, it says the Public Safety Committee of the borough. So there is no Public Safety Committee. Yeah, right there, Public Safety Committee of the borough.
So we'll need to change that the same way it was changed in 959.
Anything is.
And the other thing is,
Oh, I see. That's in this one.
the agreement by and between the Borough of Columbia and Pennsylvania Fish and Boat Commission dated September 9th, 1968, that is no longer in effect. That agreement had a 49-year lifespan, and when we took out the grant to redo the ramp, parking lot, and the access road, they had us void that agreement because they did not want, they wanted the grant agreement only to be the driving force. So that 1968 agreement is no longer.
So we would just basically end it as areas designated for the river park in the Borough of Columbia.
Mhm.
And it adds said property below. Just remove that. Up until where it says end no vehicle.
Yeah, I had it, I kind of redlined the old one that said to get rid of, that said property is described in an agreement by and between the Borough of Columbia, Pennsylvania Fish and Boat Commission, that no vehicle other than vehicle with a trailer. Okay?
Yeah.
And another thing that some people have brought to my attention is that handicap space within the large parking lot, which is lined off as a boat trailer parking space, that people who have handicap signs or have handicap are parking in that space without a trailer. So what I'm
So we
questioning
need to put like market
is
with
that
trailer only.
there should be, and that should be year-round. That one space should be year-round. You've got people who hunt, who hunt outside of that Memorial Day, Labor Day time. But yet they do have the handicap designation, they do launch a boat, they do have a trailer. So that's up to you guys. It would certainly make it nice for, the people who use that.
So is it the existing space now, or is it a different?
There is an existing handicap
Right.
space.
Yeah.
How's that sign? Does that say with trailer?
I think it doesn't say
It's
what
just-
trailer.
Just a general.
Just a general.
Yeah, it's just a general handicap sign and it's within the
Right.
larger area. But the thing is, I feel that there should be maybe a little something extra put there that is handicap with trailer.
Yeah, as I say.
I think the sign is suffice rather than put it in the ordinance.
Yeah, put it on the side rather than the ordinance to say with the trailer on, with the trailer.
Okay, that was my opinion. But I think, you eliminate the safety committee and eliminate reference to that 1968 agreement. And then I think Jake can get just little stickers to put over the signs down there because it does reference the ordinance number. Okay,
Scratch it off.
thank you very much.
I could get Bill Brown to scratch it off.
Yeah, I'll come down and help you put them on. Although I might not be tall enough. Okay, thank you for getting this done before the season. Really appreciate it.
Thanks for bringing it to our attention.
Yeah, I wasn't aware about the thing with the Pennsylvania Fish Commission, so thank you for providing that. Okay. We're going to start with 166. We have been through this many times. Paul, I'd like to turn it over to you so you can really take us through and point out, hopefully, the latest and greatest additions.
Can I start picking stuff apart?
Okay,
She's gonna go through it.
She's not going to talk about this stuff in the beginning. I want to pick apart.
Oh,
So go.
Go for it.
I gotta figure out which page it is. It's page 7 of the 21 you gave me.
which is what page on their computer?
105.
Thank
It's
you.
good, actually, guys.
105 in the
Bottom,
PDF.
What did
see where
you
it
say
says-
about page
here it
7?
says
7 of 21. And
Oh, right here?
Yeah, look where it says
Okay.
7.
Thank you. I didn't see that there. Thank you, Ethan, too.
What do you question?
So it says temporary certificate of occupancy shall be valid for a period of 12 months from the date of purchase or the date the certificate was issued, whichever is first. When a transfer of a property happens, why are we giving them a full year? Possibly.
He's a D,
I'm sorry. I'm not good at this attorney stuff.
Page 7, 166-4.
C1, D.
166-4, C1.
Page 7.
Got it now?
D, and then you go to number 2, rental
Delta. It's
properties.
not D, it's Delta.
I'm not these officers. My question is, does it have to go to a lead?
I can't tell you next time if we have issued a temporary sale, knowing that probably that would be so not issued any temporary seal or any instances of stuff.
So do we remove it?
Should we remove that then?
We can.
Okay.
I took that to say for some reason you're busy and you can't get there to do a COO right away. You can issue a temporary, and that's basically saying the borough has to get back to you and issue the permanent one within 12 months. So what it does is it gives a person, if I'm reading it, it gives a person a chance to occupy that building or that dwelling until you get around and officially certify it.
Right.
Right, but we're not issuing any COOs
Yeah.
anymore.
Then why do you have this in here
Well,
at
that's
all?
what we're saying. Why do we have it in
That's
here
what we're saying.
if we're not doing it?
Are we not issuing them just because nobody has needed one, or that we just don't do that at all anymore?
You got a whole section here. C1 starts out with certificate of occupancy.
Some of this has to stay in there, because we do have commercial properties that require a COO. My question is,
But this talks about whenever a single family dwelling.
or
So we need
commercial
to
property,
remove the single family dwelling.
This needs some work.
Mhm.
right?
That's why it's here. But that was, I'm bringing it up. When we reviewed this last time, it's not something, it wasn't.
No. I'm just saying, I took more time reading it. I will admit,
So under one, where it actually says certificate of occupancy, it says whenever a single family dwelling or commercial property is placed, you're saying remove a single family dwelling or.
yep,
You agree with that, Paul? I mean, you're the one that enforces this.
And to me, if you do that, and you're just denote that this is for commercial properties, then that D that you were talking about, I can see where whoever's doing that commercial inspections for you, it may take them a while till they get there.
so
So
here's
that would help.
my problem though. By us giving a temporary occupancy permit, we are basically, with us giving them one without inspecting it, we are taking on the liability.
That's a good point. But if you're going to do it temporary, maybe our people need to look at it.
I'm just, and that's why I question the 12 months.
But we wouldn't be issuing a temporary for a commercial property, so we're not, that liability is on Commonwealth Code. Because they're the ones that issue it for the commercial properties.
For a permit. Commonwealth doesn't issue the temporary, so do they? They would.
We would, but we have not.
Why would we issue a temporary if they're going to issue?
Because the goal is if Commonwealth can't get in there right away and they want to open, we would issue them a temporary permit. But that
You
puts
need to think
liability.
about it, 'cause
Yeah,
I can see, if not done right, this can be a hindrance to some business wanting to move into a property. And they may say, "Huh, if I can't get a C, I'm paying rent on it, and I can't get a COO here right away. I can't purchase this property. I'll pay X amount of dollars a month waiting for you to give me this COO. If you give me a temporary, I can get in there, then I'm getting something for my money.
I think
Think about it, because that can be a hindrance, not having that temporary can be a hindrance to someone bringing their business in. They're not gonna pay a couple $1,000
Okay,
rent
so,
on an empty building.
all right, so here's this. That is only an issue if within the previous 3-year period, they have not had an inspection. They would have had a fire inspection within 3 years.
Does that carry on from owner to owner?
Yes, it
Yes.
does say
It stays with the property?
right.
Okay, then that covers it.
My only thing is, do we want to allow, okay, so they cover, and I don't have a problem with our department covering it, a temporary one. My concern is, do we want to open ourselves up to 12 months of that?
Well, look at B and C before it. Yeah, you're talking about removing D, okay? Look at B and C before it. Look at the last line. It says the code official shall issue a temporary certificate of occupancy.
I understand that.
So you're gonna deal with that as well.
Well, no, that's what we're saying, they would do the issue. But do we want to expose ourselves to 12 months, is my question. I'm thinking more like 3 months. If we can't get Commonwealth in here within 3 months, there's something wrong.
You're saying keep D and just make it 12.
I think it's 3.
It's great.
Is that far
Is that
reaching?
reasonable?
I think that's good.
I'm just afraid a lot can change it. People get away with stuff, make changes and without.
Commonwealth is in.
Right. Yeah.
They can't get in 3 months and do it. We need to find their outfit to do it.
It's just, I know how people buy properties that aren't completely informed 100%. They make some minor changes thinking it's okay. So maybe it's done in a different borough,
That would have
way,
to be D
whatever.
and E.
And then also we're
12
accountable
months in E.
with the temporary. So I just want to try and shorten that window up a little bit so it gets caught. That's what I have on that one. But there is more.
So, I guess before we go any further, slumlord has been added as far as definitions.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. Let's get that.
I believe I also added off-street parking
Yes.
for definitions also.
Yep.
Since this would have been worked out.
In the definition of slumlord, can we change it to where it says within a single calendar year to say a rolling calendar year?
Why is that?
Because
It's a longer time.
it does, it shortens the time. It basically, it means, like the way it's written there, say in May, by May, they have 7 violations.
Right.
Well, they only have to go to December without any more violations and it resets.
No, that's what I meant.
Yeah, so I wanted
Gives them
to,
a longer
yep,
stick lane, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, I don't want this all resetting come January 1.
Right. It's a county, you know, the first violation.
Just say a rolling calendar year.
12 month period.
Yeah.
That makes sense, Paul?
Yeah.
It's a little harder to track, but I think it's better that way.
No, I don't think so, because typically if they're a slumlord, they're a slumlord. There's not a gray area.
All right.
So is the next major section the off-street parking requirements for rental properties then?
Yes. That's the next major one.
Can I ask, this might have just been a conversation from the previous year, why, or how we got to the number of 2 spaces per unit?
It's always been, I should say it's always been, there's a regulation for that, correct?
It do 70.
Where it wasn't, it was basically.
It was 1.5 years ago. That was really strange.
Single family residence is where it wasn't. It's usually used for multi-units. Now we're saying it's for any rental unit.
Gotcha.
So if we can go down to, okay, hold on. Section E, off-street parking requirements for rental properties. Number 6, C. Page 9, 21. Variances or modifications may be granted by the Borough Zoning Hearing Board if tied to zoning or code official for hardship cases, e.g. lot size constraints, provided the intent of this section is met with the maximum extent feasible. I don't agree with that. If somebody buys a house on a very small lot, they can use that clause to get around it. Our goal is to reduce rental units, not give everybody the flexibility to have it.
Same language, except FYI, is in, chapter 220 presenting. Actually, in there, it extends it to, if you wouldn't need to go before zoning either, as long as you find,
Parking close
parking
by,
within 300
300 feet
feet of
of the property.
so
So that's a different ordinance and it's changed. That's a zoning
Well,
ordinance.
it's,
but that pertains, the off parking also pertains to more than just rental properties. So that's what.
That C shouldn't be in there.
Should be.
Shouldn't be,
Right, that's what I'm saying.
because the zoning hearing board has that ability, whether you have that in there or not. They have that ability to make that decision. That's one of the 5 criteria, hardship.
Right.
When they have that criteria, it doesn't mean, this means nothing.
Well, this also gives the code official the ability to do that as well, not just.
There's no way in hell I would want to give.
Nope.
Nope.
Zone, the ability to do like zoning.
Well, instead of taking the whole thing out, since the zoning doesn't provide for that, why wouldn't you just leave it as a variance as a
You can leave that in,
variance and modification
someone may
granted
think you,
solely by the borough's zoning hearing board.
someone may take you to task on that, saying, wait a minute, why do I have to go to zoning? Your code official can do that.
No, we're saying take that out. We're saying take that out.
You want to see out completely.
At least the code official part of it.
I think you keep the very first line in, variances or modifications may be granted solely by the borough's zoning hearing board when tied to zoning.
Do we have to have it at all?
We don't have to, I'm just saying if you're gonna keep anything in there. But then the person that
I had
has
no
this
issue
issue
everything.
may not know that.
I'm okay to get rid of it.
It's a legal thing. We're trying to make it as,
This information was gathered from, I believe, another borough, which is where I got started on. But personally, I say C should not be there.
Okay.
I think it just opens the door for more ways and
see how.
So I have questions. Can we back up the page?
Cite the number.
If you go to the previous page where where it's red and it is struck out, colon, occupied.
Page 106.
Yeah, I got you.
I have it people on, so.
That's page
Page 8 of 21.
Yeah. Okay. So that needs to be somewhere, and it needs to be one of the first things that anybody sees when they look at our rental ordinance. So the problem we're having, and let me explain that, is we have no teeth in the code right now, and I am pretty much on a daily basis getting where people want to take these single-family dwellings, turn them into rentals. And I do not have a leg to stand on if they were good for it. So I think that this defined verbiage needs to be in here, and I think it needs to be, it needs to be,
Obvious to somebody looking at the document.
yes.
Well, it's crossed out, but you have it in section 3A.
Correct. I have it there to bring it to my attention
Yeah,
and
exactly,
my
yeah.
need, to have a discussion with you on where you think it should be. And yay or nay to the verbiage.
Well, so you're not talking about the crossed out stuff up
That
there?
is what I'm talking about.
Exactly.
All right, well, that stuff is all in E.
Yeah.
It is, I don't think it's defined, is it?
Required off-street parking. Every rental property shall provide and maintain a minimum of 2 off-street parking spaces per dwelling unit. For a single-family dwelling, 2 spaces per unit.
The one that, the piece that's missing there is on the property.
Correct.
Yeah, so then we just add that, but A needs, you need to take that where it says for single-family dwellings, 2 spaces take off per unit because there's only 1 unit. So 2 spaces.
On
And then,
premises.
but put it up at the top, every rental property shall provide and maintain a minimum of 2 off-street parking spaces per dwelling unit on premise.
The two biggies in this rental, one was what you just addressed, and the other one was defining a rental unit.
That's in there.
And that's in there, right, because we had people saying, well, my daughter's living there, so it's not a rental. Nah, it doesn't work that way.
That was changed the first time around.
Yeah, sure.
If I'm not mistaken.
That was.
In that number 3, the required off-street parking, 3C, an ADU, I don't agree with requiring an ADU to have 2 additional spaces. For the simple fact that an ADU is typically the ADUs are typically for in-laws quarters or something like that. And it's generally just one person living in there. So I don't agree with having 2 required spaces for units that are typically only going to be for a single occupant.
What if they have 2 cars?
Yeah, I think it's good.
Take the zoning.
I just, an ADU, what qualifies as an ADU is not going to be something that's going to have 2 cars or,
Okay, so let me ask you this. Why do we have ADU on it?
I don't know.
Good, you're seeing a lot of that happen. More than
Oh,
one.
yeah, we need
Absolutely.
to.
In process right now.
Yeah.
But would it become 2 units instead of 1?
2-unit property?
No, an ADU is typically something that's a temporary situation. It's not a permanent.
Also, ADU is not currently in the definitions section. I think we should,
Give it a definition,
yeah.
because I didn't understand it. I was looking more at the A side.
I remember this whole discussion going on down in the county, when they started talking, basically, granny quarters.
Yep.
And I forget what all they.
Granny pods, in-law
Yeah, whatever
quarters.
was required, whatever the consensus of the committee was. as far
So-
as parking and everything else.
But hold on a second. They would have to fall in the zoning requirements for another additional building. You can't say it's temporary. If it's temporary, none of this matters.
Typically, ADUs are a temporary situation, but then there are provisions to make them permanent. And then it changes from
An ADU into
an
a full
ADU.
unit.
Yeah,
I can't comprehend that. I'm sorry. If I build a structure that requires all the permits to build a structure. I don't care if it's 4x4 or 20x20.
Right.
So it has to go through zoning. It's a structure. Once you get the permits, it becomes a dwelling if somebody makes it into a dwelling. Not a temporary dwelling, because all rental units are temporary dwellings if they don't have anybody to rent from. So a building built to be rented, whether it's temporary or not, long-term, is a rental property in itself. To me, an ADU is, hey, I want to pull a trailer on my property so my grandmother can live there for 6 months out of the year or whatever. That's that definition. I can't wrap my head around that.
Yeah, I think.
Because we have all kinds of specifications. But remember, zoning requirements to build a building.
I think it should not be a temporary structure. It's, you create a quarter for a relative, whether it be a loft or whatever, above a garage or whatever have you.
Right.
Okay, it's permanent until you come back and have that taken away. In other words, you can say, this is no longer a dwelling unit, this is a storage space. But you must do something. You're gonna have to go through inspection to show that it doesn't have the facilities to be a dwelling unit.
I hear what you're saying, but these ADUs are popping up everywhere, and a lot of municipalities weren't prepared for them when they started happening. So I don't think we can just ignore this. We need to have something in here to address it.
Well, and I think the reason for that, Kelly, is they had the ability to make it a permanent structure, and now they wanted to make it a temporary structure, and that caused the problem. They should have never did that.
What is not an accessory dwelling unit? A mobile home, camper, or a recreational unit?
Right, anything to move out of it.
Yeah, I think for me, I just need to see a definition of how exactly we are going to define it in this ordinance, so I can understand how it is different from.
Yeah, you have to bring them up, like say, put a camper, plop it back there, you're gonna live out of it, or a mobile home or something like that.
Yeah, because
That's not what this is.
yeah, but the first time I thought of this, I was like, oh, somebody converting their garage into like.
Well, and that is also, that can be it. It doesn't have to be detached.
So it goes back to a secondary unit though.
How does it become assessed when it's only temporary?
Hold on a second,
You're losing money there.
Hold on a second. I have a garage. I moved my kid into that garage, my parents into that garage. Okay. Now Paul comes around and says, hey, you need a permit for this. Hey, you put a sink in here, whatever. You're going to get a higher tax rate. Okay. I could say, no, it's temporary, it's all coming out. That's cheating the system. What I'm saying is, eliminate that possibility. It's either a unit or it's not.
Right. If it's temporary, you're cheating the tax system.
Right. When you put that in there, you create that.
But
I say that with not understanding.
Isn't this something that they said they were gonna start looking at the state legislature level as well? Because this is like becoming an old garden industry.
I know.
People advertise this stuff on TV and everything. Oh, you don't have a place for mom, sell mom's house. You can move her in your backyard. You can keep it 100, but you don't have to worry about putting her in a home. That's how they push these things. So I'm not saying what we got to do. I'm just saying we can't just say, oh, just ignore it like it's not there.
No. I'm trying to understand this. If I own at home and I live on the second floor and I rent out the first floor to anybody, right? It's a 2-unit property, shouldn't it? If I move my parents down there and rent it to them, it's 2-unit property. Technically. Now, we have the rules where it defines family and stuff, I'm not saying that. But if I put something outside, if I put a unit outside, it's 2 units. And it really should be regulated under zoning.
And
It's easier-
what I was
it's
saying
easier to
about
regulate that way than it
temporary,
is.
what I meant was a lot of the places that have started to regulate ADUs have put time limits that they can be used. That's what I meant by temporary. So like the municipality says, you can use this as an accessory dwelling unit for 5 years, and then it's no longer, you know, or you have to come back.
And I understand that, and I think that's a good point. But in that 5-year period, the real estate taxing is not going to change because you're saying it's only temporary. It's not listed as a dwelling unit.
I don't know how
Then
the, I
then you have
don't,
to be reassessed.
well, I don't know how the assessment office looks at ADUs.
I think they got it, well,
I don't know.
it's probably, I'm trying to think of words. Accessory dwelling, or accessory units. And then they tax accordingly. If you have a shed on your property, it's an accessory unit.
It's accessory.
Okay,
Accessory
so
tax.
that's a
It
perfect
is,
example,
absolutely.
that's a perfect example. If I go out and buy a small shed, whatever it is, okay? If it's on coarse gravel
Yes,
and it's not going into the ground,
then it's not.
it's
But if
temporary.
you put on a concrete slab, then it is. Because that happened to me where I used to live. We went, I was gonna pour concrete, the guy said, do not do that, just put stone down there, and you can move it whenever you want, and it's not permanent. You put concrete down there, now it's permanent, and you will have it added to your, you know, what they're gonna tax your dwellings.
Plus, on a side note to that, you get charged by covering up ground, concrete.
Considering that this is in general a pretty big topic, would it be beneficial, considering that the only place that I've seen it referenced is specifically talk about the off-street parking, would it be beneficial for us to remove the ADU definition in this off-street parking section and then come back to it with a more broad approach to addressing ADUs? That way we can get this specific thing passed without getting held up on the ADUs and then come back to it with, you know, a more comprehensive plan.
The thing that worries me then though is we have going to doing something, and the state comes in and says, oh, we're working on that, and ours is flying out the window.
So, do we allow tiny homes?
Yes.
Only if they meet the zoning requirements.
Yeah, that'd be done.
I don't care. I'm asking, so.
There's one on Perry.
So this falls in this exact same thing now.
It's so many square feet per acre.
And this one that has recently been proposed actually does have space for 2 off-street parking. So,
Read.
only fire.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen people that use these
They make the house small
ADUs.
enough, they can get the parking in.
They have a fire in place, and they're gonna be, it's gonna be uninhabitable for 4 or 5 months. They don't wanna have to go anywhere, they put an ADU on
Yeah.
the property, just so.
Now they put a mobile
I've
home
seen
or
that.
something on there.
Well, I like to call it that,
But that's not an
I
ADU.
know it's not, that's what I'm saying. They could go another route, that is quote unquote an ADU.
That is,
That would meet the definition.
it would.
They could, I'm just saying.
So should we require them to have 2 workspaces or not? Just to get back to the core of the legislation in front of
Yeah,
us.
I personally would. If they can't have 2 parking spaces, let them go to zoning and point it out.
Yeah, and I think if we want to do anything more with ADUs, we can include that as, you know.
As a
something in the
definition,
future.
I would say Columbia Borough considers an ADU a unit in a multi-unit.
So, Heather, back to the red line sentence there. After I reread it, I was reminded of the importance of this. In that statement there, it is specifically saying that you cannot take a single family owner occupied home and turn it into a rental unless you have these two. So what's important here is the verbiage that we have.
Strike out.
So, but here's my problem, okay? So that's not the word I want to use. I understand the issue is when someone owns a property and they turn it into a rental from an owner op, and you want that to be called out. But we can't just have that one statement out there by itself. So it is part of the off-street parking requirements in that, why do we have to say specifically when you're doing this, you have, because it's understood that when you're turning a property into a rental, whether it was owner occupied or whatever, as a rental unit, they have to have 2 parking spaces.
Rental unit is any
Right.
any building that's being occupied by someone other than the owner.
Right,
So
but that other sentence is specifically saying when it was owner occupied and now it's going to be a rental, you need 2 spaces. Well, we're already saying that in the off-street parking requirements that you need 2 spaces.
Right.
So why do we need to?
I thought the whole purpose here was restricting having all these owner occupied homes being turned into rentals. What I'm saying is, we need to spell it out.
Right, you spell it
If
out.
we're gonna take it, it's gonna go to court, is what I'm saying.
Well, then we need to change our verbiage in the off-street parking requirement section. I mean, you don't just, because if you start identifying every scenario that you specifically want to call out, then you run into a situation where there's nothing to interpret, and if it doesn't fit into any of these specific scenarios, then what? You're gonna continue to spell out all these different scenarios, and you're just gonna muddy the water. You have one ordinance. You need 2 parking spaces.
So can I make a suggestion? If currently 3B has 4 multi-unit rentals and then it has a list of examples, could it just be included in there, like converted single-family homes? Because I think, Paula, what you're talking about, you want more clarity, right? For somebody to be able to easily understand that this is also what we're including. So maybe just including it in that example section, just like.
You're specifically spelling out a single family dwelling. The rental unit requires 2 spaces.
And that's in there. That's in 3.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
So the part you have crossed out, where it says all owner occupied single dwelling residential properties which are converted into a residential rental unit must provide 2 off-street parking spaces on the premise. Instead of striking it, instead of getting rid of that, put that down where 3A is, where it says for single family rental. Just remove the verbiage that's in there right now for 3A and put that in there.
Okay, the reason I have it where I have it now
Right.
is that's the key that I think we need to have someone that is very apparent for anybody else who has to.
Yeah, but it has to go where it makes sense. We can't just put it somewhere just for the sake of having it be.
And that's fine.
You can always say right there it is.
Yeah.
I mean,
Read the ordinance. Like,
I always get crazy with people coming here. I mean, I feel like, for instance, the woman on Locust Street and bought that place and wanted to put the tattoo shop there. I mean, I feel bad for her, but she needs to go back after a realtor. When I came here, I bought the house, everybody knows where I live on Walnut Street. I didn't need, over the years, with situations happened, my kids moved back in with me. I needed all the spaces, but our initial intent was to convert that into a B&B and have 4 bedrooms. And I came, before I ever bought the damn place, I came here and talked to Jeff Helm and talked about it at length, different scenarios, what I would need to do if we wanted to do it. And that's what has to become upon all these people. If you bought a house, okay, but I'm going to rent it out. Well, before you buy that house, you're going to rent it out. You better get down here and talk to a code official and talk through what you need to do and make sure
Find out what the requirements are.
that's what it is. That's on them. That's not on us.
Yeah, I don't see anything different in the language. What's crossed out to 3A. Original.
I think we should take the cross out, put it in for 3A, and that's good.
But the only difference is it says all owner occupied.
Well, it also says which are converted into a rental unit.
It says which are converted.
But I don't care if you put converted, then that opens up single family, construction. I can build a single family new home.
Well, where code is written, if you build a new home, you are required to have 2 off-street parking spaces.
That's right.
Yes, or
Yes.
even owner occupied.
Yes.
That's the way our ordinance is written. If you build new construction,
That's why these like the ones that have that humanity, that's why they have.
that's
the
why
parking
they
way in
have
the back.
the off-street
That's why they
parking
made it
because
that
they
way.
are required to.
That's why they made it that way.
It's not just for rentals, it's for all.
So this is where- So if you change A to, for a single family, for a converted single family rental, well, 2 spaces per unit.
So you put the word converted.
Yeah, but you don't need per unit if it's
No, you don't need to forget this.
if it's a single.
Right.
No,
family.
we already said that. No,
Yeah.
Heather, we already said take
Yeah.
that per unit and put one on the premise.
Right. You're right.
She didn't say 2 spaces on one premise.
But that satisfies you, Paul?
So you think we should add on there for converted single family?
Yeah, because new properties require 2 spaces. Which I wasn't aware of. Guess I'm building over here.
We have the power to change that though. We could drop the number.
Everybody has 2 cars today. Everybody. Except for us, no way.
I don't know, when I lived, all the apartments I've lived in before I bought my house in Columbia we only had 1 parking space. And even though there were like 4 people living in the apartment, that was fine.
You got 1 assigned space.
Yeah.
And the rest was wherever you could find it.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, that Kelly? Yep. That's right.
How we even-
All kind of scenarios. I can give you one. I can tell you where it's at, but that just doesn't matter. Single-family dwelling. Back at the end of the yard, there's a garage. There's a rental place upside, living quarters up top. So the owner of the single-family resident lives in the apartment and rents out the house.
Right.
How many parking spaces?
That's a 2-unit property.
So they need
He's living above the garage. Now, he can say if you went there, do you own the property? Do you live here? Yes, he lives here, but he's not living in the house.
Now, we
He's
changed
renting the
that.
house out.
Yes, we changed that. It's considered 2 units.
A unit's a unit.
Okay, so how many parking
2
spaces?
spaces per unit,
2 spaces per unit. On site?
on site.
Well, they have it on the street. No, there's nothing on site.
Nah, it can't be.
But was it like that prior to the ordinance?
Private-
If it's grandfathered in,
It's,
That's a good question.
Yeah.
And my other question is, when a code officer goes out and says, is this a rental? And they say, no, the guy's living here. Well, where is he? Well, he's at work right now. What kind of criteria does that code officer need to assure that this guy is not living in that house?
It's very difficult. It's very difficult to prove somebody's.
I'll bet you there ain't a block in Columbia that there isn't a violation there.
I agree with you 100%. But really, the only way is to go through the mail, and that's illegal.
No, we have our ways.
No.
We don't do anything illegal.
Well, coming to the
But, we have our ways. We do,
I understand.
yeah.
And if you have citizens, report them.
I'm sorry?
If you have citizens, report them, or other methods, through tickets or whatever. I get that. But it's very difficult for us to prove that somebody's living there just by driving by.
Well, but if you talk to somebody that is there, well, he's at work, and I'm wondering, what do they use to know that this guy's not living there? There's another place I know of, that there's 3 or 4 rentals there, and they have like disabled people staying there too, and the guy lives in another state. Now, I don't think it's even inspected myself, but I don't know that. But if they go there, well, where's the owner? Well, he's at work right now, or what do they need to prove that this guy's living in another state?
There's very few properties that are brought to our attention one way or another that I can sit here and say on one hand that is questionable within the whole borough that I'm aware of. We have means and ways to find out things, and we usually do a lot of digging to get to the bottom of where they're living, if it's in question or whatnot. Something as simple as a parking ticket or a phone call from a neighbor. So we don't take things necessarily as we're being told. We do our due diligence. Like I said, there's a couple that I can think of off the top of my head that we have exhausted all avenues that we do try, and are not I am not 100% convinced that they are truthful and whatnot.
So if I live next door to the property that has all these people living in it, and I want to know, hey, is this place inspected? Is it rental? What is going on here? Where do they go to get that information to clarify that? You pardon?
Right to know.
So it depends on the borough then to get that information? Yeah, okay. All right, thank you.
All right. Next piece.
Yeah, what's next?
The slumlord, I think, is the next piece.
That's 117 in the PDF, 19 of 21.
19 of 21.
Yeah, 19 of 21 and 117 in the PDF.
Everybody else good with everything in between here?
The only other new thing is page 12, not allowing subletting,
Subletting.
because that is a continued issue.
Page 12. Oh, you jumped backwards.
Yeah, sorry.
The best over.
Okay. Yeah.
Ethan's on page.
I'm sorry.
That's pretty straightforward.
No.
No, that's pretty straightforward. You can't sublet, you can't sublet a room in your house.
Right.
Like it's not a boarding house.
Right. So, as far as council goes, if this slumlord is ever designated somebody, it's gonna cause us grief, so Has everybody had a chance to read over it?
Yes.
Yep. Good comments.
This is really punishes a person. Which I personally agree with.
I want to thank Paul for coming up with where we got the verbiage from, some of the stuff we had ideas of what to say, but not exactly how to say it.
Yeah, that only changed there to take out calendar year to be
Which,
a 12-month period. Article 4, 166, 5A.
within a single calendar year?
Yeah, it should be within a single, or within a 12-month period, or rolling calendar, or rolling year,
Rolling year.
however you want to say it. It needs to be consistent with what we set up above.
Okay, so I do have, the last one I have is F2. And I just need some clarification on that. Landlord may appeal designation or penalties to the Columbia Borough Zoning Hearing Board within 30 days of receiving notice in accordance with the Pennsylvania local agency law. I'm confused on that. I don't understand it. Maybe you can help me. Maybe not. But I understand why zoning is involved.
I don't need it. I don't know what that Pennsylvania local agency law is.
Let's do a quick search here.
Yep, that's what I'm saying.
And my only thing is, I don't want zoning hearings up in here anywhere. And I don't want us put something out there that somebody else can just.
Yeah, putting the onus on them instead.
That came from Ed. That's what I'm saying.
No, no.
Yeah, you did.
No, sorry. No, this, was. This also came from other pieces, additional pieces of other environments. This one is like, it wants in simple.
Okay.
Yeah, that's,
That was my thought.
yeah, we can.
Cut that out. Right.
So where would his appeal go to? The
Appeals board.
Yeah, that,
Would it go to the code?
Or we can just say council. As big as this is, we probably should just say appeal to council. Because this is gonna be, if somebody gets nailed, it's damaging.
Right. Would it go to the code appeals board specifically that Kelly and Gene are on,
So that-
other than council?
That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
I think maybe it should probably come to council, in front of council, because This is a
Signature.
large
Right.
gentleman.
Okay.
And I don't think two people from council and the borough manager or zoning board or codes department should have that authority to appeal it.
So the full council will address this at a public meeting?
On appeal, only on appeal. Yep.
So that's something I was thinking about too, but are code appeal meetings already public? Like, if somebody does normal code appeal?
Wow. They're not.
No.
Then maybe it should go to code appeal first?
No, because council has no final say in code appeal. This could be thousands of dollars. And some of our people who have multiple properties, this can get tens to $20,000 to $50,000.
But also it could be pretty damaging to their reputation if they need to do an appeal and have to go to a public meeting as opposed to appealing it privately initially. Like if there's
I'm
some.
thinking of our slumlords that we have, and they need to be outed.
Yeah, for sure. Like, and if somebody is
You
genuinely.
know what? I agree with that one.
Yeah. No, you're right.
I'll say this.
Merits
It takes a lot to get, to
get that point.
get to that point. If you're designated that and you have a problem with it, yeah, come to council and let us decide.
Okay.
I think that's what it should be, me personally.
Yeah, this isn't gonna be one of those things that happens lightly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's 7 within a 12-month period, 7 violations.
Yeah. Come on.
Bring it to council.
Yep.
You're gonna satisfy your residents.
Yes, exactly.
That's where you're gonna have-
Exactly. The residents,
That's what
the
they're
business
asking for.
owners, they're looking for accountability. We're giving them accountability. We're not shielding anyone.
Right.
And I suppose if they also have the option to appeal individual violations before that
Absolutely.
as well.
Oh, yeah.
So if they're prudent enough, they can also appeal individual violations and maybe, not reach that point if it is a mistake or, something like that.
Right.
Shoot it down. In a meeting, appeal meeting, back room,
It's gonna be questioned.
do it out here.
Yep.
Anything else on here anybody wants to discuss?
Oh, excuse me.
Do you have all the notes?
Yep.
Kelly?
Yep.
Wonderful.
No,
I'm sure Paul does.
I haven't been sleeping.
I gotta go to the
I got too busted for-
Before we get to the active legislation priority list, I want to thank Heather and Kelly, staff. This stuff's been hanging out for a year, 2 years, some of it 3 years. And I'm glad within 2 months, we're able to put this in front of council and move on it. So thank you very much for your time. Do we want to go to the active priority list? Or do we think we took enough of your time tonight?
I think we took enough time, but
We are working on
I would
retooling
also,
that list.
yeah, I would like to point out that it says up here priority list, but I think as a whole, council needs to take a look at everything and set priorities on, because we have 7 people, how many different leadership areas?
Right.
Everyone thinks that their area is the most important, and we as council need to set that priority. We've had this problem for how long, where we continue to overwork staff by putting, because this person thinks this is a priority, this person says this is a priority. We need to give them clear guidance as to what's the most important thing. And that means across everything, across the different projects,
Anything.
you know,
We don't-
legislation
we're-
items, you know, all of those kinds of things.
Is this in a OneDrive sheet, Excel document? what you guys have here.
It's just an
Is
Excel
she here?
spreadsheet.
It is an Excel, yeah.
Okay, I was wondering if we can make a shared one with tabs basically for each leadership area that we can each go in and fill out our individual priorities based off of, the things that the two people discuss. That way it's all in one document that we can all reference pretty easily, see each other's priorities as well.
We can do that. I mean, yeah, we could.
I don't want to get too complicated.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we don't want it to be, we don't want it to be overly, we don't want every item
Yeah, for sure.
spelled out. But I think it's important that everyone realize that council's job is to set the priority and the expectations and not dictate operational things. So coming up with policies for how Jack is supposed to uphold something is not our purview. And we tell him, look, this is our goal. It's up to him to decide how we're going to achieve that. And so I think what we need to do is we set the priority and the goals of these are the things that are the most important, and then we work down. And we can't, if something comes up, we have to tell staff, okay, this is leapfrogging to the front because it's of XYZ. And we all have to understand that that means things are going to get pushed down the list if we're expecting something to leapfrog to the beginning. Yeah, I think it's important that we do that so everyone is aware of where we stand. And we can expect things to happen.
Mary, as long as you're here, I wanted to ask you I don't know if you looked at this list or not, but a couple of things that are on here are the rezoning of the North Second Street properties and the downtown business district text amendment. Currently, what it says is your zoning currently being reviewed with DCED.
Who's DCED? That's my question.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's what I'm asking, so we can
The
make sure.
Department
I
of
have no
Community and
idea
Economic
where
Development
that
with
came
the state.
Yeah, I have no idea.
That information came from Elise.
At least.
What's a DCED involved with our?
Exactly. I was wondering that too.
And if you look down, there's
This is
another
the
one.
first time I saw it on this list.
There's also accessory dwelling units. Is there
Now
as
that
well?
I know Jessica with CS Davidson was going to be working on that.
And that says the same thing.
Yeah,
We still have
Jessica Fieldhouse.
Why do we still have,
So-
Mary's saying she's working on stuff.
No,
No.
she was
She was.
supposed to be working on this. I don't know who's working on it now. But some of the things that you mentioned,
Yeah, and why is
this was sent to me for comment on what planning commission was working on.
Right.
And I went back and I commented, I said, some of these are being worked on with our combined zoning that we were going to start. I'll tell you, the Second Street, what it was out there, they didn't like the way we were going to rezone them. So that got put on hold.
That's on hold.
Some of these things that it says the 2019 zoning, we were ready to move on that. Jeff Helm retired, COVID hit. Then we got into the idea with the comp plan of combining the zoning districts, narrowing them down. So when you do that, you're going to go looking at your verbiage then and see what fits. And now we're even looking at simplified zoning, which is really,
Paula, the DCD comment, what was that for?
I believe that Elise is working with some of the people.
I think this is where it's coming in at. Why she told you to put that on there? They're looking at the simplified zoning, correct?
right.
Correct.
And we were looking,
DCED has nothing to do
no,
with
that's
that.
with Lancaster County Planning we're working
Yeah.
on now.
No.
she's been in touch with multiple, groups, referencing all these different, areas.
Yeah, I was gonna, this is the first I've
That's what I'm
seen.
asking, that's what I'm
I've got multiple copies of this, and this one is the first I've seen this DCED on here, and I thought, where's that coming from?
At your last planning meeting,
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, ma'am.
It's late, I'm getting ready.
I get it. I get it.
Fry phosphates tomorrow, it's going in tomorrow.
At your last planning meeting, you talked about a possible grant or something like that with the DCD, correct? On modifying the zoning.
Maybe that's where she's coming
that's where she
from.
goes.
That's what I'm saying. I think that's where she's probably expecting to go that way with it.
Yeah, because we had the gal there from DCED.
Right. I think that's where that came out of.
Yeah, because there was so much we could apply for, we had to outline
Right.
our criteria.
Which I think is a really nice option.
Yeah, so I know Justin was looking at, he was
Right.
thinking, since I'm not chairing,
I understand.
and I'm out.
So, does everybody agree or not agree that these all, the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 ordinances
With the changes.
with the changes can be added to Tuesday's meeting for advertising?
Yes.
Great.
Stand up sign?
Have an issue though with the food truck?
I
review that?
I have not had a chance to review it, and Evan was pretty clear in his email that he wanted another look at it. So, I mean, I will not be ready to vote on that one, to advertise that one by Tuesday.
And we have not heard.
Or, I don't know if I will, because I don't know
He's
what,
gonna want to see the new changes. too.
yeah.
We have
160.
not gotten any response from Evan yet, the rest, and that's.
Oh,
Yes.
Evan has looked at the rental thing.
I sent it.
He did it a long time ago now, but
Yeah, no, that
these
doesn't
recent
count.
changes, no. He hasn't come back,
And I don't know, maybe you looked at it, but I have not.
he hasn't responded back.
This has to be,
He has to be priority one, he was told that, trust me.
And the other piece of that,
He promised he would get that back.
So we still are waiting a legal direction on our disruptive conduct process.
Yeah.
In light of the complaint filed by the ACLU. So we haven't received any updates. Evan indicated there was some internal discussions about it. They were looking at it, but we are not prepared to move forward with that.
and that is part of the rental, which is why it's not. So I'm thinking if we can do these smaller ordinances now and just keep plugging away until we get.
112 can go with 166. 112 can go with 166. So
Yeah.
they're paired together, and 112 was done wrong, and that's pretty straightforward.
And maybe we can put the food truck one on the docket for next week, and then if Heather has a problem, we can table that specific one for a future meeting.
But Evan hasn't reviewed it on the attorney.
Yeah.
And he sent it back. The food truck one, he sent back.
Yeah, he sent back,
He sent that.
but he,
Said he needed a second look at it.
he needed someone else to do a good eyeball, so, yeah, I just didn't get to it yet.
Which one?
The food truck.
Food truck.
Back up for a
I
second.
didn't
So
I didn't
the
see anything wrong with it.
disruptive conduct section, that's being argued in lower courts, or is it just a
It's
matter
not
of?
been- There hasn't been any official court action taken. The borough's put on notice, and some concerns were expressed about the ordinance, specifically the eviction section. So it's been in the hands of the attorney's office since November.
Dun, dun, dun. We know that's kind of.
So I think
It's
council,
getting late, I'm getting a little punchy.
I know, I'm sorry.
I'm getting a little punchy.
Council needs to establish something surely on what we're gonna do about our council. This should not take 4 months. I understand. I truly get that stuff takes time and you gotta go over everything and everything else. But for example, the rental is probably 4 years on the rental. And we're still waiting on a food truck, which they knew about. We got today or yesterday. It doesn't make sense why it's taking this much time. And I think our solicitor needs to be addressed.
I brought up an email here that he is attempting to make potential changes to the ordinance for the disruptive conduct for the March 24th.
Heard that before. All right. So we're still gonna put a couple on the agenda.
Yes.
Some of the smaller ones. All right. Is there anything else under legislation? Communication.
I'll be quick on this. So for communication, we didn't, just because of circumstances and time availability between myself, Tom, and Jack, we weren't able to sit down with staff to go over the communication plan, but there's progress on it. I'm hoping to have a meeting soon so we can sit down and go through it all. But there is one thing I wanted to mention. Frank, you brought up the live stream from last week. Sharon actually also emailed me last week asking about it. So I'll just tell you the same thing I told her, which was what happened last week with the laptop was the broadcast laptop specifically that Jack has in front of him had a graphics error where it would not display the screen. And it wasn't just like a blue screen that we restarted. It was fine. We restarted it twice and it still did not boot or display anything. So that was about 45 minutes before the meeting started. So we were trying to get it to work on a secondary laptop, but the software with the cameras needs something specific installed on the computer. So we didn't have that on any of the other computers, so we weren't able to just swap out the laptop. We did discuss, Eric did bring up, do we want to do something about the meeting? Do we want to postpone or something like that? We decided not to because Paula was able to record as she said that they used to have to do before. Not the best solution. I totally understand. And I know parts of it were cut off in the recording that was posted on YouTube afterwards. But we did, Jack had the IT people come in the next day to repair it. So just wanted to give some background on why that happened. As far as what we can do to fix it, I do think that we could set up a better solution, a better backup solution than recording it on the phone. It doesn't necessarily have to be like a second laptop or anything like that, but we should.
I agree with that. I like that idea. I'm glad you brought that up. Why can't we take the software that's needed to run from that laptop and just put it on another laptop?
We certainly could, yeah. That multiple of the staff laptops here could have the software installed, so we could swap it out in the future as we need to. Yeah, we could absolutely have that done. And then even if for some reason there's a hardware problem with one of the cameras, we can have, if there's any other laptops or iPads or anything with a camera, we can set up the stream to go from that. It won't be as nice, but it'll definitely do the job as a backup. And, I think we can include that in the communication plan as far as fallbacks for when this happens in the future. So I hope that addresses your concern from last week, Frank. But that's most of what I have for communications for this week. Or this month.
Question. You've mentioned it several times, communication, to review the communication plan with staff.
Yeah, so I've been working on a communication plan that outlines specifically the intent behind our communications, the methods that we use, the scheduling sort of stuff like that. That's not something that the borough currently has. It's something that I believe Todd had mentioned before, but he said because also a conflict of interest, him doing graphic design and stuff, he didn't want to make one for the borough.
But again, that our job is to give the priority, not the means and methods. So for you to come up with a plan, that's staff's job.
Yeah, and what I'm mostly doing is just a draft that I'm going to hand off to Jack and the staff to do what they want with it as like a research and suggestions. I'm not saying that I'm going to write all this and that it's immediately going to go into, policy. But I know how short-staffed they are, and I just want to be able to help out and address some of the issues that I see coming in from the outside. So yeah, it's not a hard policy necessarily. It's going to go through staff and everybody else before it becomes anything, but
I just want to make sure that, because I don't want anyone to be overzealous to the point that they're overstepping what council's role is supposed to be.
But that's all I have on communications.
Thank you. Market House. You have anything
Bonnie, do you have anything?
for Market House?
She already gave her report that was supposed to be
Yeah, the
given this
report was-
month. It was given last month, so we
Yes.
already gave that the last workshop.
No. Just
Nothing
asking-
updated, nothing you want to tell us?
I will say, last Saturday, not only was it the jail bail event,
Mhm.
and I don't believe people were there for that event specifically, they kind of found out about it, but that Market House was packed all day long.
Well, it was a nice day. It was such a nice day.
Oh, I know, they were all over
was out
town,
about
but
Yep.
It's been very good. The only real update I have is that we do have a new produce vendor coming in
how you do?
for April 1st. Yes.
And we
So-
were told too that all of the vendors were current in rent till March 1st.
Right.
Which has been an issue in the past, but yeah.
Very good.
And all the stands are full.
Right.
We still have a few people coming on board, so
Yep.
everything's going well. Thank you.
Thank you. Code and appeals, I don't believe there's any,
Codes, no, just the codes reports in here and the condemnation report. And we did not have any new code appeal meeting other than the one we, Keen and I did earlier in January.
geez, not here. Land Bank Committee.
Next meeting is on Monday, the 9th. That's going to be a monthly thing. I spoke to the newly hired staff member with the Land Bank Authority, and I got a couple just quick updates. This is from the last meeting. 154 to 156 South 5th Street. Plans were submitted to Columbia Borough, finalizing financial security for the borough and other remaining items before the project is released for bid in the spring. 149, 151 Stump Avenue, purchased through tax sale. Land Bank Authority is the current owner. And then 118 North 8th Street, this is one that I brought up before. That was actually purchased in December. And they are going to be working, the Land Bank and Redevelopment Authority are going to work with them, but they are, the people who purchased it are going to be doing the actual redevelopment of the property. So,
So is the developer or sold
No,
to individual?
it was sold to an individual and
Yep.
then it was resold. It's still in the blighted property.
Yep.
It's still in the blighted, like the determination of blight
Right.
is still there. But because we talked about it at our last vacant property reinvestment board meeting, they're gonna be contacting the new owner to make sure they understand the blight determination and what's required for that, and make sure that all of that is taken care of.
Will they be sending out the new invite too? Because I haven't,
yes,
I wiped everything out because everything else was all
yes,
like duplicates.
apparently the old invite was, they can't remove it because it was, like, the previous staff member is the one who owns the meeting, but they're going to be sending out a new one. I'll check in with them this week.
I appreciate it.
Is the Land Bank meeting going to be virtual or here?
It's going to be virtual.
And then they do want to have some in person, don't they?
They were talking about wanting to do like a hybrid, some people in person, some people online. They didn't settle on anything right now.
Okay.
At least have 1 a quarter. It'd be nice to have at least like 1 a quarter in person, you know?
So that's it.
All right, it is 10 o'clock. Do we want to table the single trash hauler or?
The only thing I have a draft from another borough, and when I look for Pennsylvania, I look for borough, I don't look for another state, I don't look for
Right.
city or township. It's Pennsylvania borough, so I don't have to worry about is it legal. So there is one I found that's very good. I just want to know what council's flavor is, what council's thinking, because if council thinks this is a waste of time, then I'm not going to pursue it any further.
Well,
But if it's something that we need to do, then let's get on the table. But it's not going to be something we're going to initiate in the middle of the year anyway. It's probably something we have to start like January 1 of next year. Maybe in the middle of the year, I like that. Good contracts and
Specifically, he's talking about an ordinance because we
An ordinance.
have to do an ordinance change.
yes,
But we don't want to do the ordinance work if we're not going to pursue
yes. We're not going
a
to
single hauler. So we have to know, is council interested in looking at an RFP to issue to explore this further or what?
Personally think it should be a priority.
I agree.
I also think we should look into it.
Anybody else?
I'm open to anything. I was against it initially, but the more I look at things, it kind of does make sense.
Yeah.
So, if that's the direction we want to go, then why don't we,
But we need to make sure that we're very specific in our RFP
yeah,
as to what we are asking of the haulers.
On the whole.
wouldn't our ordinance, besides saying we're going to go single hauler, wouldn't our ordinance pretty much describe what we want in our?
No,
No.
It doesn't. We have a solid waste.
no, that's
doesn't
not the
touch that.
point of the ordinance. But like, we want to specify in the RFP, do we want to do the collection here and pay the hauler, or do we want the hauler to bill each individual
Right.
property owner?
Yeah.
How do we want them to do? And this is not normally happen, but do we want to require them to do residential and commercial, or is commercial being separate from residential?
But it would be hard for us to find existing examples, right? So it's been done before.
Oh, yeah, it
Yeah,
is.
that's-
And we
yeah,
got all the RFPs
Yeah.
from Laxwama. They can provide that information.
Yeah.
We just have to make sure we really look at it as council and say, this is how we want it to work here.
So,
Ephrata just switched like a year and a half ago to single hauler. So we can also speak to some of their people and see what we could do.
So that-
Effort of friends.
let me ask this then. The last February's workshop, Parks and Rec was at the bottom. I moved them up one, dropped everybody down. Do we want to move, do we want to put discussion of this at the top next work session?
I think so.
And I think if we're gonna,
Happen again.
if we're gonna ask you guys to move on this, or whatever, I'd like to be completely clean and ready to go for next year if we're gonna do it. So it does take time.
Yes, it does.
So we'll make that a discussion key for the next work session as a priority.
Yeah, and if we see some of those other RFPs, that may give us ideas that we didn't think of as well.
Right.
Because I know when I was reading through them before, Jake, the ones we got, I was like, oh, you know what, I never thought of that, that's good to have in there, so. Yeah, Laxwam was a huge resource, because, you know, that's what they do.
That's all I needed to know for that.
All right. Anybody else have any input on it? Borough Council comments, so the, Heather,
No,
none. Next meeting will be 7 PM on Tuesday, March 10th, 2026. Council will hold a regular scheduled meeting. And motion.
so moved.
Motion-
Second.
Motion by Councilman Easy, second by Councilman Zink. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Do you need a motion to adjourn? I thought somebody told me you did.